Chapter 6895. If the fox and the rest could explore the entire area, then finding Beichin and the rest would not be a problem. However, although she did not know much about this world, based on her judgment, this world should not be small. Otherwise, it would be impossible for there to be only these three fellows' caves in the vicinity. Based on the distribution of the area, this world was definitely not a small one. Now, all she could hope for was that Beichin and the rest were not too far away. As long as they were not too far away, then there was hope of finding them as soon as possible. Bailey Hongzhuang and Xiao He stood at the door and looked into the distance. Suddenly, a rumbling sound was heard from the front. Then, as if the earth was quaking and the mountains were swaying, the entire ground began to tremble. Xiao He's expression changed. "Master, this can't be an earthquake, right?" Bailey Hongzhuang frowned. "The tremors of an earthquake should be very strong, but why do I feel that the tremors seem to be coming from afar and are coming closer to us?" She had never experienced an earthquake before. Ordinary earthquakes were not dangerous to them, especially when they were standing in an open space. However, she felt that this did not feel like an earthquake. Instead, it felt like the tremors caused by a wild beast running. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Xiao He instinctively looked in front of her. Her face instantly turned pale as she stammered, "Mas, Master, you seem to be right." At the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang also turned her head to look not too far away. When she saw this, her eyes were filled with shock. In her line of sight, a large group of monstrous beasts was charging towards their location at high speed. It looked like a monstrous beast tide. Anyone who was caught in it would die without a doubt. Most importantly, even though they were a certain distance away, she could feel the terrifying aura of these monstrous beasts. Elementary, celestial stage. Elementary, celestial stage monstrous beasts were everywhere. Why does the scene seem so familiar? Bailey Hongzhuang felt a burst of helplessness. Her luck was really too good. "Master, let's run." Xiao He jumped on a Bailey Hongzhuang's shoulder. These guys were not to be trifled with. Once they charged over, they would be turned into minced meat. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the demonic beast that was less than 100 meters away from them in the blink of an eye. Her face turned extremely ugly. It's too late. The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang's figure flashed, directly jumping onto a nearby tree. From what they had observed just now, these demonic beasts were not as crazy as the demonic beast frenzy. At least, the trees along the way were not directly broken, so they knew that if they jumped on a tree, they would not be crushed. However, just as the man and the beast were in a tense state, they suddenly realized that the flood of beasts that were constantly rushing towards them had actually stopped in front of them. What was going on? Both man and beast were stunned. Could it be that these demonic beasts hadn't lost their minds? At this moment, a familiar voice sounded. "I've already told all of you to be quiet. Bai Ji is still young, and it's her first time out of the house. With so many of you suddenly charging over, won't you scare her?" The fox walked out from the group of monstrous beasts and looked at the surrounding monstrous beasts with disdain. He began to preach. Chapter 6896. The lion and roc followed closely behind as they stared at the beasts in displeasure. "That's right. Why are all of you running so fast? If you continue to act like this, be careful that the white fellow won't agree to help you." In an instant, the beasts that Bailey Hongzhuang had seen as scourges suddenly fell into silence as they stared at her worriedly. Some of them even revealed a fawning smile on their faces. Although, this smile looked a little strange. "White fellow, they've all seen that the new clothes we're wearing are simply too beautiful, so they wanted to ask you to help them make a set of clothes." Hee hee. The fox grinned as it looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. However, there was a trace of guilt in its voice. Their trip this time had indeed been very grand. Almost all the demonic beasts that had seen them had immediately asked them how they had gotten their new clothes. After knowing that the white fellow could make clothes, these fellows had all wanted to ask the white fellow for help. Initially, they had not paid much attention to it, and had only thought that the white fellow would not refuse to help them make 2 sets of clothes. However, they had never thought that after wandering around for a while, they would unknowingly agree to so many people's requests. On their way back, They had been worried that the white fellow would reject them. However, things had already developed to this stage. If they were to say no, these fellows would definitely laugh at them. Hence, they could only pin their hopes on Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the demonic beast behind the three fellows, and the corners of her lips twitched. What kind of joke was this? At a glance, the number of demonic beasts was probably more than 100, right? If she were to help each of these fellows make a set of clothes, she would not need to do anything else for the next month. She would just have to stay here and make clothes. Almost at the first moment, Bailey Hongzhuang had intended to reject them. The fox had also noticed Bailey Hongzhuang's expression and understood that this request was indeed a little too harsh. If it were him, he would not have agreed to it either. However, he could not let the white fellow reject them just like that. Otherwise, they would lose a lot of face. White fellow, why don't we make a deal? Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was about to refuse, the fox's voice rang in her ears. How long will it take for me to finish so many clothes? Bailey Hongzhuang didn't hold back. This guy clearly had a favor to ask, so there was no need to worry. Fox, I promise I won't let you do it for free. Bailey Hongzhuang, then what are you going to give me? Fox, I can help you find your brother and sister. Bailey Hongzhuang, didn't you go out this time to help me find it? Did you find it? Fox, I haven't found it yet, but trust me, I will definitely find it for you. Bailey Hongzhuang, no, thank you. She dared to guarantee that these three fellows were full of showing off after they went out. She was afraid that they had long forgotten about helping her find people. Don't. The fox was also anxious. It knew that the three of them had indeed gone overboard this time. White guy, why don't I ask them to find you more delicious food? The fruits near where these fellows live are all different. There are also many fruits that are very nutritious. You are now growing. Eating more fruits will be good for you. Bailey Hongzhuang, growing? Chapter 6897. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang did not immediately refuse, a glimmer of hope ignited in the fox's heart. White guy, they're all my friends that definitely won't treat you badly. And think about it. If it's just the three of us helping you find them, it definitely won't be as good as everyone helping you. When they go back, they will help you pay more attention. Basically, all the monsters in this area are here. As long as your brother and sister appear in this area, they will definitely know. The fox's face was full of smiles. He couldn't help but think for a while and said, we have a very large area here. If your brother and sister are nearby, then it won't be a problem to find them. If they're not nearby, then you have to go farther. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang also understood that the scope of this world was as she imagined. The area was also very wide. It would be great if they were really lost, and it would be easier to find them. Unfortunately, there was a problem with the teleportation. Who knew what would happen if they were randomly teleported to the other side of this small world? Then finding them would be... Then help me talk to them about this matter. Bailey Hongzhuang said aloud. Regardless of whether they could find them as soon as possible, it was better to have the help of so many monsters. The fox had been looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. After seeing that she agreed, he was completely relieved. At least his face was saved. The other monsters saw that the fox had been whispering to Bailey Hongzhuang. Although they were embarrassed to speak loudly, they were already muttering in their hearts and couldn't help but whisper. I think this white guy really looks like a human. Is it really not? Actually, the ape clan also looks like this, but this white guy looks better and doesn't have so much hair on his face. Didn't they say that he is a branch of the ape clan? I think it's quite possible. Many monsters were a little doubtful. This guy's appearance was really too similar to the people they heard, but they were quickly dispelled by the denial of the surrounding monsters. Do you think this white guy will really make clothes for us? If he doesn't agree, then what? It shouldn't be, right? Didn't the fox and the others promise solemnly? Who knows? They're good at bragging, but this dress is really beautiful. The group of demonic beasts looked at the three demonic beasts with covetous eyes. Other than the phoenix, there were no other demonic beasts that wore red clothes. Their area was close to the lake, so there weren't many fire attribute demonic beasts, so bright red was relatively rare. The fox also heard a lot of demonic beasts talking about it in such a short time. It immediately cleared its throat and said, "Everyone, listen up. All the demonic beasts perked up their ears and looked at the fox expectantly, not knowing what the result would be. White Guy has already agreed to make clothes for everyone. As soon as these words were spoken, all the beasts couldn't help but cheer. The joy in their hearts was beyond words. For the past few days, they had been envious to death. Thinking about how they would soon be able to wear clothes, they couldn't help but feel excited. However, you have so many beasts. It's going to be very hard for the White Guy to make the clothes by himself. Besides, the clothes themselves are very expensive. Chapter 68-98. Hearing the fox's words, the demonic beasts looked at each other, and their minds cleared up. Indeed, with so many of them here, it was already embarrassing to ask for help, and now they had to ask the other party to provide cloth. They had never seen cloth like this before. What should they do? Fox, according to your opinion, what should we do? The fox smiled. The white fellow is actually very kind. She doesn't ask for much, as long as everyone picks some delicious fresh fruits and doesn't come empty-handed. That's good enough. Hearing this, the demonic beasts, who were originally a little gloomy, suddenly perked up. They thought that they had to help with something big, but it turned out that it was just picking fruits. This was nothing to them at all. Don't pick some fruits that even you don't fancy. At least show some sincerity. Otherwise, even if the white fellow isn't angry, we will be unhappy. The fox spoke out. No matter what, the white fellow was now living in its cave. That meant that it was protecting the people it was protecting. The lion nodded. That's right. If you don't have sincerity, then you are looking down on us. Rock. That's right, that's right. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Rock. This fellow always had no ideas. It could basically be completely ignored. It was rare for the fox to say such words. It made her very surprised. But looking at this fellow's guilty little eyes, she understood that it must be feeling a little guilty, which was why it was so good at this time. Fox, don't worry. We will definitely not mistreat the white fellow. We are all friends. As long as the white fellow can help me make a nice set of clothes, you can eat as many fruits as you want. I'll go back and pick some fruits now. I just happen to have some fresh fruits that have just ripened. The taste is really good, and the amount of elemental energy it increases is also a lot. The demonic beasts present naturally also saw that the white fellow was not only young, her strength was also not very good. She had not even broken through to the elementary immortal realm until now. Compared to them, she was simply a level lower. She really should eat more fruits to nourish herself. After the first demonic beast said that it wanted to go back and pick some fruits, the other demonic beasts did not want to be left behind, and all ran back one after another. In the blink of an eye, the large group of demonic beasts that had gathered in front of them disappeared, leaving only 3 standing in the same place. These guys are too fast. Xiaohei was dumbfounded. Before she could even react to what had happened, these guys had already disappeared without a trace. Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes. The strength of the elementary celestial stage was indeed powerful. It could be seen from the speed at which these demonic beasts left. Regardless of whether one was good at speed or not, this speed was beyond her reach. Sure enough, the difference between stepping into the elementary immortal realm and not stepping into the elementary immortal realm was like the difference between the clouds and mud. The fox chuckled. They all want to wear new clothes as soon as possible. Bailey Hongzhuang then jumped down from the tree. Your battle formation this time is really scary. I didn't expect that things would turn out like this when I just went out for a visit. Fox smiled sheepishly. Have you been hungry these past few days? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. What do you think? The 3 demonic beasts looked at each other, and they couldn't help but feel guilty. Chapter 68-99. We brought back quite a lot of fruits this time. Come in quickly. The fox beckoned Bailey Hongzhuang into the house and took out the fruits that they had plucked this time and placed them on the table. These fruit trees are all located very far away from here. If we hadn't gone to visit this time, we wouldn't have been able to eat them normally. Although this fruit is slightly more sour than the previous ones, it's sweet and sour. It's very delicious. Try it quickly. The lion handed the fruit to Bailey Hongzhuang in a fawning manner. After thinking for a while, it rubbed the fruit on its body to make sure that it was clean before handing it over. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the fruit and then looked at the lion's expectant eyes. She then took it and said, "Thank you very much." "You're welcome, you're welcome." The lion shook its head and said, "I'm afraid that you've been hungry for the past 2 days." Bailey Hongzhuang and Xiaohei obviously wouldn't starve. Not to mention that they had prepared quite a lot of dry food before they left. Just the fruits alone were enough to fill their stomachs. However, ever since they found out that eating these fruits didn't have any side effects and could continuously increase their primary energy, they had already put aside the other dry food. How could these things compare to the fruits? Not long after, a lightning raccoon arrived at the fox's cave. The moment it entered, it immediately placed all the fruits that it had plucked in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. Although the lightning raccoon was small in size, as a lightning raccoon in the elementary immortal stage, its speed was extremely fast and its strength was limitless. It directly dragged a large bag that was woven from rattan over. The bag was filled with delicious fruits. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the fruits. Indeed, they were different from the fruits that she had eaten before. Xiaohei's eyes lit up the moment she saw the fruits. Little stars twinkled in excitement. Primary energy. This was all primary energy. Was there anything more blissful than this in this world? Master, although you haven't really made clothes before, you've really made a lot out of this. Xiaohei's face was filled with excitement. If the tailors of the chaotic immortal realm knew that they could exchange so many precious fruits for a single piece of clothing, they would probably go crazy with excitement. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression did not change. She understood that these fruits were nothing to these demonic beasts, but her heart was indeed blooming with joy. If making a single piece of clothing could be exchanged for so many fruits, then how many fruits would she have if she made more than 100 pieces of clothing? Usually, other than cultivating, he would eat some fruits when he had nothing to do. His cultivation speed was much faster than others. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's calm expression, the lightning civet was still a little worried. It rubbed its hands and said, "These are the best fruits around here. I don't know if you can help me make some clothes?" Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly when she heard that. This was because the beasts in this place were simple and honest. If it were the demonic beasts of the early immortal realm in the immortal realm, who knew how arrogant they would be. "Don't worry, no problem. I'll make it for you soon." Hearing this, the lightning civet's face suddenly revealed a surprised smile. "Really? That's great." After telling her that she could come over tomorrow to get the clothes, the lightning civet then left in satisfaction. The fox looked at the fruits that the lightning civet had sent over and said with a look of disdain, "Although these fruits are not bad, it's still a loss to exchange clothes, right?" The lion nodded. "Isn't that so? The lightning civet is not generous to begin with." Chapter 6900. Bailey Hongzhuang faintly shot a glance at the three fellows whose faces were filled with disdain. "At least they are more generous than the three of you." The lightning raccoon's body was originally small, so making a piece of clothing wasn't too troublesome. Forget about the fox, the lion, and the big pung bird's clothing was a huge project. The fruits that these fellows had given could not be compared to the fruits that the lightning raccoon had brought, and now they actually had the nerve to say that other beasts were better. Indeed, once these words were spoken, the three fellows instantly realized that something was wrong with the situation and couldn't help but feel a burst of guilty conscience. Cough, cough. The fox coughed dryly. "Aren't we being too hasty? Don't worry. We are friends, so we definitely won't bully you just because you are small." The corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up slightly. After having the experience of making clothing, Bailey Hongzhuang was very successful in making the lightning raccoon's clothing. This kind of matter itself wasn't too complicated, but she had never put much thought into it, so it was a little awkward in the beginning. However, when she figured out the specific process, it wasn't so complicated to make it again. The three spirit beasts looked at the way Bailey Hongzhuang threaded the needle, and their eyes were filled with curiosity. Although they had clearly seen the entire process, but in the end, they still didn't understand anything. They only saw the white fellow using the scissors to cut, and then sewing, and inexplicably a piece of clothing was already done. "Wow, white fellow, you are really a genius." Rock looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in amazement. It didn't even understand how she had done it, and it was already done. It was simply too miraculous. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly, thinking that with this fellow's brain, he definitely wouldn't understand. Just as the clothing was done, another spirit beast brought the fruits over. Because she had already promised earlier that as long as they came with sincerity, she would agree, so everything went smoothly. In addition, Bailey Hongzhuang also specifically asked what color they wanted. The result was not unexpected. Almost all the wicked beasts that came over said that they wanted red. It wasn't just these demonic beasts. Even the fox, lion, and roc kept chiming in from the side, causing everyone's faces to turn red. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed inwardly. These guys really love the color red. However, as more and more fruits piled up, Bailey Hongzhuang realized that these guys were too honest. The small demonic beasts were one thing, but the large demonic beasts brought a shocking number of fruits. In their own words, they ate a lot for every meal. This time, the food brought was enough for them to eat for a few days. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed inwardly. He had eaten so many fruits in just a few days. No wonder his strength was so terrifying. However, she did not reject any of these fruits. The fox was in a dilemma. White fellow, although these fruits won't spoil for a while, but my cave won't be able to hold them all. What should I do? Hearing that, Bailey Hongzhuang secretly thought in her heart. She had the chaos ring. Storing these fruits was not a problem at all. But if the fox and the rest knew about this, then how should she explain it? Just explaining this problem was already very troublesome. Before she thought it through, it was best not to explain. Chapter 69:01. The roc suddenly came over and said, "Anyway, we haven't found Little White's brother and sister, so they probably won't leave for the time being. Why don't we build a cave for Little White nearby? That way, it'll be more convenient for her to have her own place to live." The lion immediately agreed. That's right. When we find Little White's brother and sister, they can live here together. We won't have to worry about them abandoning Little White because they don't have anything to eat. Bailey Hongzhuang, was this fellow saying that she had been abandoned right in front of her? The fox also noticed the change in Bailey Hongzhuang's expression and quickly said, "What nonsense are you talking about? Little White is so capable. Why would her family abandon her?" After saying that, the fox called the lion and the roc to leave. When they reached the door, the fox said, "What's wrong with you? How could you say that in front of Little White? Even though it's the truth, you'll still hurt her." Bailey Hongzhuang, here we go again. Master, the corner of the fox's lips twitched. These fellows were probably trying to make her laugh to death. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Xiaohei and reached out to pinch its soft cheeks. Her smile was bright and charming. "You've been eating very happily recently. And Master, don't smile at me like that. I'm a little scared." Xiaohei looked nervously at Bailey Hongzhuang. Whenever it saw its master's smile, it felt that its days were numbered. "Once my cave residence is built, I'll leave the needlework to you." Because Xiaohei had initially appeared in front of the fox and the rest in its beast form, it could only maintain this form. This fellow's entire body was round when it was in its beast form, so it wasn't very convenient for it to make clothes. Once it had its own place to live, it would be much more convenient. When the time came, Xiaohei would just have to make clothes in the Chaos Ring. Xiaohei's face immediately fell. It had guessed correctly. If its master showed such a smile, it would be in for a tragedy. "Master, look at my cute appearance. Can you really bear to let me do this kind of work?" Xiaohei's face was bitter as it looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with teary eyes. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's face was cold. "I can bear to..." How old was it? It had lived much longer than her, and it was still pretending to be young? How shameful. "Xiaohei, Master, you've changed." Bailey Hongzhuang spread her hands. Spending time with them every day, it's normal to have some changes. Xiaohei, the fox, and the rest were also very quickly. They had already found a place to be Little Whites right after they had made their decision. Before little, their beings were as TSTS's beings. When Bailey Hongzhuang saw the location, she was very satisfied. Although these three fellows weren't very reliable most of the time, they were quite reliable when it came to finding a cave's location. The location they found was also dry and well ventilated. It wasn't very far from where the fox and the rest lived, but it was still some distance away, which gave her some freedom. The three fellows quickly began their construction. They claimed that this was their reward for making clothes, and they weren't demonic beasts that liked to take advantage of others. It didn't take long for a brand new cave to be prepared. The three demonic beasts eagerly invited Bailey Hongzhuang over to check the results of their construction. Chapter 6902. Recently, there have been a lot of demonic beasts looking for you. The fruits also need a place to store, so we built this cave a little bigger. It's also more convenient. The fox looked at its work with satisfaction. Even when it dug its own cave, it didn't take so much effort. Bailey Hongzhuang looked around the cave and found that there were fruit trees not far behind this position. There was also a stream in the mountain stream. The water was clear and the environment was beautiful. She was immediately very satisfied. "Thank you, I like it very much." After hearing this, the three demonic beasts breathed a sigh of relief and completely relaxed. "Haha, it's great that you like it." The three demonic beasts were excited. They looked even more excited than when they were building their own cave. Bailey Hongzhuang walked around. The area here was indeed bigger than the fox's cave. Thinking about her current cultivation, she really had to raise her cultivation as soon as possible. Only when she broke through the elementary immortal realm would she have more assurance when walking in this place. According to the three demonic beasts, basically all the demonic beasts in this area had come here to wander around. However, this area had a large river as the boundary. The demonic beasts in the other area were not as peaceful and simple as they were here. The demonic beasts, they were often more powerful, and the competition was very fierce. Because there were fewer fruits, their living conditions were not as good as here. The reason why they had not come over was, on one hand, because both sides had an agreement a few years ago. On the other hand, it was also because the environment here was not suitable for them to live, so they had been living in peace. After understanding all of this, she was also very helpless. Now, all she could do was to wait for news and hope that the other demonic beasts would find something. If they didn't find anything, then Beichen and the others were very likely to be in another area. With her strength, if she rashly went to that area, she was afraid that her days would not be easy. However, this also made her even more worried about Beichen and the others. "Fox, is there still no news of my brother and sister?" Bailey Hongzhuang asked. The fox shook its head. "Everyone is helping to pay attention, but we haven't heard any news yet. Don't worry, as long as they are in our area, once other demonic beasts find them, they will definitely be sent over." "I hope so." Bailey Hongzhuang sighed. Now that she had a lot of fruits, she might as well eat more to increase her cultivation. After Bailey Hongzhuang moved out of the cave, the three monstrous beasts also moved all the fruits to this side. At the same time, there were more and more demonic beasts making clothes, and there were more and more fruits in the cave. Bailey Hongzhuang quietly placed the fruits that had been delivered earlier into her primordial chaos ring. Although these fruits could be stored for a long time, they would eventually spoil. However, it would be different if the fruit was placed in the chaos ring. The fruit could be stored forever, and time would stop. Therefore, every time a new fruit appeared, she would put the old one back. Fox and the others were originally worried that the cave would not be enough and wondered if they should stop for a while. However, after discovering that Bailey Hongzhuang's cave had not been filled, they were relieved. In his heart, he was secretly impressed. White and Little White must have been scared of starvation. Now that there were fruits to eat, their appetite was extremely shocking. Chapter 6903. Bailey Hongzhuang and Xiao He ate as much as they could in order to increase their strength as soon as possible so that they could search for Di Beichen and the rest. Fortunately, the energy contained in these fruits was mostly pure elemental energy. Otherwise, Bailey Hongzhuang's body would be close to Xiao Hei's if she continued to eat like this. Every day, there would be demonic beasts bringing fruits to make clothes, and Bailey Hongzhuang handed over the task of making clothes to Xiao He. This fellow was not interested in self-cultivation anyway. She was more interested in eating. Now that she had such confidence, she might as well not cultivate anymore. Bailey Hongzhuang used the fruits to cultivate, and her cultivation level was constantly increasing. She could clearly feel her elemental energy increasing. Because the elemental energy in these fruits was pure enough, she did not need to refine too much. Hence, everything was very easy. There were not many fruits that could fit in her stomach. She only ate the fruits that had the best effect on increasing her elemental energy. The three demonic beasts also felt that Bailey Hongzhuang's current strength was a little too weak. Once she encountered other demonic beasts, she would not even have the ability to protect herself. Hence, they specially told her what kind of fruits to eat to increase her strength. Because of this, Bailey Hongzhuang's impression of these three demonic beasts gradually improved. She also understood that although these three fellows always thought that they were very smart, they were actually simple and gullible. Ever since she had arrived, these three fellows had never suspected her origins. On the contrary, they had always tried their best to help her. Of course, except for standing at the door and bad-mouthing her every time. On this day, Bailey Hongzhuang was cultivating. Suddenly, Xiaohei rushed in from outside. "Master, bad news." Bailey Hongzhuang opened her eyes. "What happened?" "I was just about to pass the finished clothes to the fox and the rest. Before I even entered, I heard their conversation. It seems that the ape clan has arrived." Bailey Hongzhuang frowned when she heard this. She had not forgotten that she had told the fox and the others that she was an ape. Now that an ape had really come, would he expose her lie? "Master, I think we have to think about what to do. Otherwise, when we meet later, that fellow will ruin our show. What should we do then?" Xiaohei looked anxious. If they had the cultivation of the elementary celestial stage, they would not have to worry too much. However, they could not even defeat a single demonic beast. If everyone found out that they were lying, they would be in trouble. "Tell me what you saw." Bailey Hongzhuang's heart calmed down. She also understood that in this situation, it was impossible to avoid it. Previously, she had heard from the fox that the ape tribe lived far away from them. So when she first met her, she was sure that they must have run away from home. She was not sure how far away this was, but from the fox and the rest's lack of understanding of the ape tribe, she could tell that it must be quite far away. The ape tribe had suddenly appeared here at a time like this. They must have wanted to see her true face. If they did not see her face, they would not give up. Xiaohei immediately told her everything that she had heard. Bailey Hongzhuang then fell into deep thought. At this moment, a series of footsteps slowly came in from outside. Chapter 6904. Hearing this voice, Xiaohei's heart thumped. These guys were moving too fast. They didn't even have time to think of a countermeasure. "I'm here." Bailey Hongzhuang's leisurely voice had already spread out. It was especially important to appear calm at times like this. Otherwise, if they were to be seen through, everything would be even more suspicious. The white fox smiled. "Brother Ape, the white fellow is inside." The long-armed demon ape narrowed his eyes. Recently, he had been hearing rumors that the ape clan was here to make clothes for everyone. When he first heard this news, he had no doubt that there was a problem. The ape clan didn't even have clothes to wear. Why would they come here to make clothes for other demon beasts? If it was just one or two people saying it, it wouldn't have believed them. However, as more and more demon beasts mentioned this matter, it realized that something was wrong. It was almost certain that someone else had used the name of the ape clan to come here. It wanted to see what this guy was up to. The fox had intended to accompany the long-armed demon ape in, but didn't expect to be pulled back by the lion. "Fox, why did you make the long-armed demon ape walk backwards?" The lion's face was full of dissatisfaction. "The white fellow is living well here with us. She's happy every day. What if this guy comes and wants to take the white fellow away? What should we do?" The rock was also very depressed. "I don't think there's anything good about the ape clan. The white fellow is happier here with us. Think about it. How hungry was the white fellow before this? She's so weak. If she goes to the ape clan, who knows how she'll be bullied?" The fox looked at the lion and rock and sighed. "Actually, I don't want to either. But didn't you hear what the white fellow said? She's been looking for her brother and sister. I think that we haven't heard any news about her brother and sister for so long. Maybe they've returned to the ape clan." Hearing this, the rock was a little hesitant. The white fellow's look of anticipation from before was not fake. The lion still looked unwilling. If they're in the ape clan, that means that they don't want to be with the white fellow. Then what's the point of going back? The fox looked at the lion's gloomy expression and said with a smile, "Don't worry. As long as the white one doesn't want to go, no one can take her away." Bailey Hongzhuang thought she would see the fox first, but she didn't expect to see the ape first. Looking at the ape in front of her, she recognized its species at first glance. It was a long-armed demon ape. This fellow was at least 3 meters tall. Standing in front of this long-armed devil ape, she was simply too petite. When the long-armed demonic ape saw Bailey Hongzhuang, there was a trace of astonishment. This guy was white and clean. Although he looked very similar to the ape tribe, he was too young. Not only that, but other than her head, there was no other hair on her body. She didn't belong to the ape race at all. "Who are you?" The long-armed demon ape's face turned cold. "You're not even a member of our ape clan. Why are you pretending to be one?" The fox and the other monsters who had rushed over were also stunned when they heard the long-armed demon ape's words. "Brother Ape, you can't spout nonsense like that. That white guy is a branch of your ape clan," Fox said. Chapter 6905. She looks very similar to your ape clan. Why can't she be a branch of your clan? A demonic beast's voice rang out. Bailey Hongzhuang then noticed that the demonic beasts behind them were not just the fox and the rest. There were other demonic beasts as well. If having 2 hands and 2 legs means she's a branch of our ape clan, then wouldn't there be too many branches of our ape clan? The long-armed demon ape was very certain. It looked coldly at Bailey Hongzhuang. "Hurry up and tell us, what are you plotting?" Bailey Hongzhuang frowned. "What could I be plotting? I was just staying here, and you suddenly came looking for me. You even asked me what I was plotting. I should be the one asking you. Stop quibbling." The long-armed demon ape ignored her. "You can't use the name of our ape clan." In the next moment, the long-armed demon ape looked at the other demonic beasts. "I can guarantee that our ape clan doesn't have such a branch. She's not a member of our ape clan." Xiaohei, who was at the side, also secretly cursed in her heart. What she was afraid of really happened. She was worried that this fellow would expose them, and it just had to happen. In this confrontation, they had obviously lost. If she's not a member of your ape clan, then what kind of demonic beast is she? The demonic beasts were also confused. In terms of appearance, this white fellow was the most similar to the ape clan. If she wasn't a member of the ape clan, then what kind of clan did she belong to? The long-armed demon ape quietly sized up Bailey Hongzhuang for a moment, then said, "I think she's not a demonic beast at all. She's a human." As soon as this was said, the demonic beasts present all changed their expressions. From the beginning, they felt that this white fellow looked very much like a human. However, after being emphasized that she was from the ape clan, they did not continue to think in this direction. If she really wasn't from the ape clan, then she was most likely a human. "Master, what should we do?" Xiaohei panicked. She did not forget that the fox and the rest had wanted to eat her master directly when they thought she was a human. If they were discovered now, the consequences would be even worse. Bailey Hongzhuang also understood that she could not continue to remain silent like this. Otherwise, the situation would become worse and worse. Fox and the others also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in confusion. Until now, she had not defended herself at all. Could it be that all this was true? Just as their suspicions were growing, Bailey Hongzhuang's voice suddenly rang out. "I remember now." Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the long-armed demon ape with excitement. There was even a hint of anger in her eyes. "I've seen you before." The long-armed demon ape sneered. "It's useless for you to pretend now. Your name is Iron Block, right?" The long-armed demon ape was suddenly stunned. This was indeed its name, but how did this guy know? "I saw you quarreling with my sister before. Although I was still young, I saw your face clearly at that time. It's because you took a fancy to my sister, but she doesn't like you, so you chased us out of the ape tribe." Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were bloodshot as she glared at the long-armed demon ape like an enemy. "If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have been reduced to this place. Now you actually dare to say such things. Could it be that it's not enough to chase us out? You want to kill us all?" Chapter 6906. Xiaohei watched her master's performance from the side and instantly gasped in amazement. Usually, Master had always solved problems with her fists and never spoke much nonsense. She didn't expect her acting skills to be first class as well. If it wasn't clear about the ins and outs of the entire matter, it would have thought that this long-armed demon ape was an unpardonable beast. Sure enough, after the crowd of demonic beasts heard Bailey Hongzhuang's accusation, their initial suspicions immediately dissipated and was replaced by a thick sense of indignation. "Brother Ape, I really didn't expect you to be such a person." The fox was the first to jump out. It was saying that with its intelligence, how could it have made a wrong judgment? This white fellow was definitely from the ape clan. Hey, how can this fellow be called a brother? The lion's face was full of disdain. It originally didn't want this white fellow to leave, and now that it knew the ins and outs of the matter, it didn't need to say anything more. It knew that this long-armed demon ape didn't come here with good intentions. This fellow who usually didn't have any dealings with had actually come here with such thoughts. The rock immediately jumped out and blocked in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. "You bastard! How dare you bully this white fellow? I'll kill you!" Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the three funny demonic beasts blocking in front of her and felt a little touched in her heart. Her words were actually made up. The main thing was that other than this, she couldn't think of any other reason. Of course, she still felt very guilty towards Yang Qinxue. If she knew that she had mysteriously given her this identity, she didn't know what kind of expression she would have. I really didn't expect the long-armed demon ape to be so shameless to bully such a small fellow. I've long disliked this fellow. Look at him. One look and I can tell that he's not a good thing. We've always had very little dealings with the ape clan. Now that I think about it, it's really, this white fellow is clever and skillful in making clothes for us. All she wants is some food. If we let her be bullied by other fellows, then how can we face her? The crowd of demonic beasts instantly stood their ground. During this period of time, Bailey Hongzhuang had always stayed here, and they were very familiar with her. In comparison, the long-armed devil ape was the one that had appeared out of nowhere. The long-armed demon ape obviously didn't expect things to turn out like this. It was dumbfounded. "Listen to me, it's not like that. I don't even know her." The fox sneered. "You're always thinking about her sister. What's so strange about not knowing her? I've never done such a thing. Believe me." Lion rolled his eyes. "If you don't even know each other, how could that white guy say your name so easily? If you want to lie, you should at least say something convincing." Rock nodded in agreement. "That's right. It's really not like that." The long-armed demon ape had no way to defend himself. Almost every time he said a word, he would be directly rebuked by everyone. It was simply making things worse. There was almost no need for Bailey Hongzhuang to step in. Fox had already led everyone to beat up the long-armed demon ape and drove it away. Chapter 6907. In the situation earlier, if it wasn't his bad luck, it would be our bad luck. Do you wish for it to be unlucky or for us to be unlucky? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows and asked. Xiao He hurriedly replied, "Of course it's his bad luck." Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was indifferent. This matter was originally caused by the long-armed devil ape. If it didn't come, there wouldn't be such a matter. If she didn't teach it a lesson this time, this fellow would probably not stop. But the ape clan was also a big clan. If she could silence the long-armed devil ape this time, it would be best. When it returned, she could only hope that there wouldn't be any more problems for the time being. With regards to the following situation, Bailey Hongzhuang was also unable to determine. The only thing she could do now was to raise her cultivation as quickly as possible. Otherwise, they could only cover up their lies again and again. There would be a day when the paper couldn't wrap the fire. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was pondering, the fox and the rest had already walked back. "White fellow, we've already helped you to teach him a lesson. In the future, he definitely won't dare to find trouble with you. If he dares to come again, we'll directly make sure that he won't be able to return." The fox acted cockily in front of Bailey Hongzhuang as if it was presenting a treasure. Actually, this fellow just looks scary. As for his strength, it's nothing much. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the three fellows in front of her, and the smile in her eyes gradually deepened. This time, thank you all. Although she had always hidden the fact that she was from the human race from the three demonic beasts, she had really treated these three fellows as her friends. If it wasn't for these three fellows, she didn't know what her current situation would be like. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly being so serious, the three demonic beasts were a little unaccustomed to it and smiled as they scratched their heads and left first. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. She didn't think that these three fellows would be embarrassed. However, this thought only disappeared when these three fellows stopped at the door. Almost as soon as she saw this action, Bailey Hongzhuang knew that the trick of deceiving one's ears and stealing a bell was really coming. Fortunately, the demonic beasts in this area did not use their brains. Otherwise, these three fellows would not have survived until now. The fox said, "Don't let those apes come over in the future. I'm afraid those guys aren't good people." Lion, can't you see that the white guy is about to cry today? Thinking about it, his background is really pitiful. Rock, don't say any more. I'm about to cry. Fox, I want to cry too. Woo woo woo, Bailey Hongzhuang. You guys are so affectionate. Xiao Hei came over. Master, I didn't expect these three fellows to be so sympathetic. Bailey Hongzhuang, but I don't need sympathy. Xiao Hei, hee, that's true. After seeing the three guys leave in tears, Bailey Hongzhuang's heart was a little embarrassed. After all, she really had been deceiving their feelings. She just didn't know if they would be very angry if they knew the truth when they left. She really didn't want to think about that situation. Xiao Hei was a little surprised when Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly started to cook. Master, could it be that you're tired of eating fruits recently, so you want to change your taste? Actually, I also feel that it's boring to eat this all day. I miss my pig trotters. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Xiao Hei, who was drooling. It's not for you. Chapter 6908. Bailey Hongzhuang did not say a word, but continued to take out the best ingredients. Compared to making clothes, she was much better at making food. Ever since she came to this place, she could not help but be thankful that she had brought enough things. When they were in the abandoned immortal forest, not only did they buy a lot of clothes, they also bought a lot of furniture, ingredients, and so on. It could be said that they had everything they needed. The space in the Chaos Ring was big enough to store all these things, so she had never thought of taking them out. This time they came in handy. Otherwise, it would not be easy to do well in this place. She did not know what these three fellows liked to eat, but from the way they ate on a daily basis, they should be quite big eaters. After she was done, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the food in front of her and said thoughtfully, "I hope they like it." Xiao Hei was already drooling, and when she heard this, she suddenly felt that her life had turned dark. Master, aren't you being too biased? I'm going to cry to Xiao Bai. If you can find it, you can eat with us later. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head helplessly. Who knew how much food this fellow's stomach could hold? Her appetite was really shocking. However, you should go and invite them over first. I'll go now. Xiao Hei ran to the fox's residence as fast as he could on a daily basis. Only when they came quickly could he eat delicious food. When the fox and the rest were invited over by Xiao Hei, they were very puzzled, because Xiao Hei said that Bai had prepared delicious food for them. They had seen the fruits that the demon beasts sent over every day. Of course, they could not help but steal a few of them. However, they had eaten these fruits before. Could it be that Bai had received fruits that they had not eaten before? Bai, what delicious food have you prepared for us? The fox's voice rang out from afar. However, before they entered the cave, they could already smell the rich fragrance. The lion's nose twitched, and his eyes were filled with curiosity. What is this smell? It smells so good. The rock also widened his eyes. What fruit is this? It was too fragrant. I've never smelled it. I'll go in and take a look. The fox's appetite had long been aroused, and it quickly rushed inside. Lion and Rock didn't want to fall behind either. They rushed over like crazy. Xiao Hei only felt a few whirlwinds pass by before the three guys beside her disappeared. Demonic beasts at the elementary immortal stage are really fast. Looking at the three beasts that appeared, Bailey Hongzhuang didn't say anything. Instead, she found that the three beasts were sitting directly around the table and sitting down on the stone stools. Three pairs of eyes stared fixedly at the delicious food on the table, their eyes filled with anticipation. "White guy, what's this?" Rock asked excitedly. Idiot, this is a fish. You don't even recognize a fish. The lion had a look of disdain. Rock felt wronged. I know it's fish, but it's not like this when we eat fish. The fish they eat are either raw, boiled, or roasted. But the fish in front of us is obviously different. The lion nodded. That's true. Chapter 6909. After hearing Bailey Hongzhuang say that all this was to reward them, the three beasts were unusually excited. Are all these for us to eat? Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Of course. Rock could not wait any longer. After hearing this, it immediately lifted the plate and stuffed a plate of fish into its mouth. As soon as it ate, its eyes immediately widened in surprise. So delicious. The fox and lion did not expect Rock to eat so quickly. Before they could say anything, the plate of fish had already been eaten. Hey, wait, you're eating too quickly, the lion said anxiously. So delicious. Rock could not care less about the two fellows trying to stop it. Its mind was completely occupied by the delicious food. At first, it was not sure whether these things were delicious or not. However, after tasting one dish, it knew that these things were extraordinarily delicious. It could not stop eating it all. After cleaning up the plate of fish, Rock glanced at the pig trotters at the side. At first glance, it knew that this thing was delicious. It had to try it. One of these is mine. Xiao Hei quickly snatched a pig trotter from the plate. She could tell that Rock's eating speed was simply too fast. If she did not snatch it before it opened its mouth, it would be gone in the blink of an eye. Rock directly stuffed the pig trotter into its mouth. After tasting it, its eyes immediately lit up. With a face full of enjoyment, it said, "It's so delicious." The fox and the lion had never thought of throwing the giant rock out. This guy was not good at anything else, but he was good at eating. However, at this moment, they could not care less about this. They immediately began to sweep through the food. As soon as the food entered their mouths, the two fellows' eyes shone with a strong sense of excitement. Such delicious food, they were simply too happy. Don't be anxious. Eat slowly. She had already guessed that these three fellows had a large appetite. She could tell from the amount of fruits they usually ate. So this time, she prepared a lot of food. This is way too delicious. The fox's mouth was stuffed with food. Even its words were not clear, but one could still roughly understand. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly. Looking at the three fellows' carefree behavior, her mood improved a lot. She only hoped that when she left, they would continue to be carefree and not be unhappy because of her. Xiao Hei was also eating heartily. Recently, it had been eating fruits. It really wanted to eat something else. However, as it ate, it suddenly felt three unfriendly gazes. It slowly raised its head and realized that the three fellows were staring at it. To be more precise, they were staring at the plate in its hand. Only then did Little Black notice that all the food on the table had been finished. The only thing left was the piece in his hand. Fox said, "I heard from the white guy that these things seem to be a reward for the three of us." Lion, "I've already heard that." Rock, that's right. Xiao Hei looked at Bailey Hongzhuang for help. These three fellows' expressions were too scary. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged her shoulders, a helpless expression on her face. Chapter 6910. It wasn't until the three of them finished all the food on the table that a satisfied smile appeared on their faces. I've never eaten anything so delicious in my life. The fox squinted its eyes, and a blissful expression appeared on its face. Its furry appearance made it look even more adorable. The lion rubbed its belly. It really ate to its heart's content this time. It almost wanted to take a nap. The rock scooted over to Bailey Hongzhuang and said, "White guy, I didn't expect you to be so good at cooking. How did you do it? If you want to learn, I can teach you." The corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up. These guys love to eat. It would be great if she could cook it herself. Before the rock could say anything, the fox said, "I'll leave this task to you. Learn it well." The rock said, the lion shook its head and said, "Fox, don't forget that the food it cooks has never been edible. I'm afraid it won't be able to learn anything from it." The fox was stunned. The lion continued, "That time when we were fishing in the river, the rock roasted all the fish. Then we caught a deer. This guy didn't cook it well and even knocked over the pot. Then, You don't have to say anymore. The fox felt that its memory had been awakened. This guy was a disaster when he started working. White guy, since you're staying here, why don't you? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows and said, You want me to work for you for free? Impossible. The three beasts' faces fell. We'll trade with fruits. Okay. Before the three of them could rejoice, Bailey Hongzhuang continued, I'll cook for you however many fruits you give me. As for the ingredients, you can find them yourselves. She hadn't been to other places, so she didn't know what was different about the animals in this place. After all, the fruits here were many times better than the fruits in the realm of chaotic immortals. That works too. The three demonic beasts nodded. In any case, they usually had nothing to do. In order to be able to eat delicious food, everything was worth it. White guy, don't worry, we'll definitely find some fresh ingredients. Although the food you make is delicious, it doesn't contain any essence energy. The fox sighed. It didn't pay much attention when it was eating, but now it realized the problem. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up. These words had already revealed a lot of information. After the three demonic beasts left, Xiaohei came over and asked, Master, according to what they said, does it mean that eating other food can also increase one's origin energy? That's very likely. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded, her heart filled with anticipation. The three fellows left for 3 days, and during this time, they especially publicized Bailey Hongzhuang's good cooking skills, causing many demon beasts to drool endlessly. Fox, aren't you exaggerating a little too much? How can the food be so delicious? The lightning civet looked doubtful. I think it's better to eat the fruit. That's because you haven't seen the world. The fox's face was full of pride. Wait until you taste it. Then you'll know what it means to almost swallow your tongue. You make it sound so incredible. Can I have a taste too? Chapter 69:11. That won't do. Rock was the first to reject. They haven't had their second meal yet. How could they let the lightning fox have the chance? Lion was just about to agree when it was pulled aside by Fox. It's too slow to rely on the three of us to find the ingredients. Why don't we let the lightning fox find the ingredients and earn some rewards? Hearing this, Lion thought for a moment and nodded. You're smart. This will save us a lot of trouble. Bailey Hongzhuang had become familiar with many demonic beasts these days. Everyone knew that she wasn't strong enough and treated her like a child. Because everyone didn't have any hostility, Bailey Hongzhuang was able to walk around. From the news that she heard, there was still no movement from Di Beichen's group, which made her feel very helpless. But on the other hand, no news might be good news. Not long after, Fox and the rest brought over a lot of fruits, and at the same time, they brought a lot of ingredients. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the pile of food in front of her, and her eyes were filled with shock. These three fellows had gone out for a few days, and the food that they brought back was really amazing. White fellow, this is the reward. Take a look and see if it's okay. Fox put the fruits aside and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang expectantly. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Recently, she had already made clothes for the demonic beasts. Basically, all the demonic beasts were wearing bright red clothes and looked like a small team. Don't say, this kind of scene looked really interesting. Coincidentally, she didn't have many opportunities to earn fruits, and it wasn't reliable to rely on herself to pick them. Using her cooking talent in exchange for so many fruits, it was very worth it. Okay, I'll start now. I'll call you when it's done. Okay. The three demonic beasts looked at each other, and their eyes were filled with excitement. Rock wiped the saliva from the corner of its mouth. It had been thinking about it for a few days, and now it could finally eat it. Bailey Hongzhuang directly took out the biggest pot from the chaos ring. This was left behind to cook the demonic beasts. It hadn't been used for a long time, and she didn't expect it to be used now. Master, luckily you have such a big pot. Otherwise, I don't know when these things will be done. Xiaohei's face was filled with joy. It felt that no matter what it was, it should be kept in the chaos ring. After Bailey Hongzhuang's food was prepared, she asked Xiaohei to invite the three fellows. It's done. Try it. When the three fellows smelled this fragrance, they could no longer hold back. The great rock was the first to pounce over. Cough, cough. The fox coughed dryly. The rock also stopped its actions. It could not help but feel a little guilty. White guy, you're pretty busy here. Why don't we bring this back to eat? Fox said with a smile. Lion nodded. That's right. We'll bring it back to eat. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't think much of it at first, but after seeing the guilty look on the three fellows' faces, she couldn't help but frown. It seemed that there was something she didn't know. Okay, you guys bring it back. Bailey Hongzhuang said calmly. Okay. Chapter 69:12. White fellow, you're still growing. You should try it too. It's very nutritious. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. At least these fellows still had a conscience. After the three fellows left, Bailey Hongzhuang then said to Xiaohei, follow them and see what they're up to. I'll go right away. Xiaohei had already noticed that the three fellows were scratching it. Ever since they had refused to let it eat the last time, it had been bearing a grudge against them. If these three fellows were up to no good, it would expose them. Bailey Hongzhuang then tasted the ingredients that she had personally made. When the fox had brought the ingredients over, it had already processed them. Hence, she could only tell that it was a flying beast. As for what species it was, she could not tell. After tasting a mouthful, she realized that as the food entered her stomach, a thick wave of energy entered her body. As expected, eating these could also increase one's energy. This place is really a treasure trove. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed in her heart. In a place like this, the energy was rich and pure. There was no need to cultivate. Just by eating, one could increase one's cultivation. It was simply a paradise for cultivators. It was no wonder that the demonic beasts she had seen were all at the elementary, celestial stage and above. She had also sensed that there were many more powerful demonic beasts. However, she had not even broken through to the elementary, celestial stage. Hence, she could not tell if there were more powerful cultivations. In an environment like this, it would be difficult to not increase one's cultivation. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up. If it were not for the fact that Beiqian and the rest were not here, she would have thought that living here for a longer period of time was indeed a good choice. Many cultivators had gone through trials to increase their cultivation. It was a kind of luck for them to be able to find a treasure trove like this. Not long after, Xiaohei had already returned. Master, these fellows are really too evil. They're actually doing business behind your back. Bailey Hongzhuang frowned. What do you mean by that? It's them who raise the reward a little and then let other demonic beasts do it. This way, they don't have to work hard to find ingredients and can even eat and drink for free. Xiaohei recounted the entire incident in detail. As expected of a fox, so cunning. Master, shall we expose them? Bailey Hongzhuang thought of the sneaky looks of the three guys and found it very funny. With this kind of lying ability, they really couldn't go to other places in the future. Why expose them? Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. Let them be. Xiaohei was slightly taken aback. Let them go? They're helping us attract business. If it weren't for their promotion, how much fruit would we be able to earn with just the three of them? For now, the most important thing was to earn fruits. Master, you're right. Xiaohei nodded and then walked to the table, happily preparing to taste the last dish that the fox had left behind. However, when it saw that the table was already empty, leaving only the plate of bones, it couldn't help but ask, Master, where's the food? I've eaten. Didn't leave any for me. Left some bones. You're getting closer and closer to Xiao Xuanzi recently. You should pay attention to losing weight. Under such circumstances, Bailey Hongzhuang's days were very comfortable and leisurely. Chapter 69:13. Somewhere else, Yang Lingfeng helplessly worked as a laborer, his mouth constantly grumbling. Sister, we're just too unlucky. What kind of place is this? I think it's definitely not the place that we were told about. Yang Qinxue sighed, her expression helpless. I don't know what's going on either, but the demonic beasts here are ridiculously powerful. It's definitely not that place. I've never known that the demonic beasts in a place could be so powerful. Yang Lingfeng felt defeated. He thought about how much effort he had put in to break through to the elementary immortal stage, but it was too difficult to break through. When he had first arrived at this place, he had thought that with his cultivation base, he did not need to worry too much. However, when he saw the battle prowess of a demonic beast, he was completely dumbfounded. Elementary immortal stage. 1, 2, 3 for countless. All the demonic beasts he saw were at the elementary immortal stage and above. In front of these demonic beasts, he did not even have the slightest ability to resist. It hurt his pride. After so many years, this was the first time his pride had been hurt like this. Humans were worse than beasts. I don't know where Beichun and Hong Zhuang are. This teleportation is also baffling. It actually separated us. Yang Lingfeng looked gloomy. Fortunately, we're not too far away. I just don't know if they'll be so lucky. Yang Qinxue thought for a moment, then said, I think Hong Zhuang and Beichun's luck is very good, and they're both smart people. They should be fine. But what should we do now? We can't stay here forever, right? We're being ordered around by these demonic beasts all day. Yang Lingfeng could not help but roll his eyes at the end. Was this even something a human would do? He, Yang Lingfeng, was being ordered around by a group of demonic beasts one day, and he could not even get angry. Who asked him to be no match for them at all? Stop complaining. Be careful not to let them hear you. Yang Qinxue lowered her voice. She was really at her wit's end. Any one of these demonic beasts could smash them into meat paste. There was no other way but to endure the humiliation. Let's work hard first. We'll find a way to leave this place when we have the chance. Yang Lingfeng nodded slightly. His heart was still filled with despair. So what if he left this place? As long as they encountered another demonic beast that was still stronger than them. At this moment, Yang Lingfeng looked at the other side of the river and suddenly discovered that the two demonic beasts were actually wearing bright red clothes. He couldn't help but rub his eyes, wondering if he was seeing things. Sis, look over there. Are those two demonic beasts wearing clothes? Yang Qinxue looked at it carefully, and a look of surprise appeared in her eyes. You're right, they are wearing clothes. This is really strange. Yang Lingfeng's interest was piqued. I've never seen a demonic beast wearing clothes before. He had been here for a while and had seen many demonic beasts. In fact, after they were caught by the demonic beasts, they were like gorillas being watched. Many demonic beasts ran over to look at them because they had never seen demonic beasts like them before. It wasn't until they revealed that they were humans that more and more monster beasts came. Chapter 69:14. Maybe the demonic beasts on both sides are different. Even their habits are different. Yang Qinxue had a thoughtful look on her face. Because they weren't strong enough, these demonic beasts never avoided them when they spoke. They understood that the demonic beasts on both sides of the river had little contact with each other. Whether it was in terms of personality, behavior, or other aspects, the two sides were completely different. Perhaps their style of dressing was the same. I still feel that something is not right. Yang Lingfeng frowned. No matter how he looked at it, the demonic beast's dressing was a little strange. You think they know how to make clothes? Yang Qinxue shook her head slightly. She did not believe it either. Demonic beasts were demonic beasts. In this aspect, they could not compare to humans. Moreover, demonic beasts generally would not have such thoughts in their minds. At this moment, Yang Lingfeng's eyes suddenly lit up. Sis, do you think Hong Zhuang and the rest are on the other side of the river? These clothes might be made by Hong Zhuang. Yang Qinxue fell into deep thought. This explanation was more convincing than demonic beasts making their own clothes. However, I think with Hong Zhuang's taste, she wouldn't make bright red clothes, right? Yang Lingfeng was stunned. That seems to be the case. Ever since he met Hong Zhuang, she had always dressed in simple and plain clothes. Such bright colors did not suit her personality. If this was Beichun's choice, then it was even more impossible. Don't think about it. This doesn't seem like something they would do. Yang Qinxue patted Yang Lingfeng's shoulder and sighed. Actually, she did not hope that this was really made by Hong Zhuang. If that was the case, then it meant that Hong Zhuang's situation was similar to theirs. They were forced to do manual labor, and Hong Zhuang was forced to make clothes. How tragic was their training in the mystic realm this time? Sigh. I feel like crying. Yang Lingfeng covered his face. Life was so tragic. Achoo! Bailey Hong Zhuang sneezed. There was a trace of doubt in her eyes. Who was thinking of her? Master, what's wrong? I'm fine. Bailey Hong Zhuang shook her head. By the way, did Fox and the others agree to what I said? Not yet. Xiaohei felt a little helpless. This matter seems to be very difficult for them, because there hasn't been much interaction between the two sides of the river. If they were to go over rashly, I'm afraid the situation would become very complicated. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed. She also understood that this situation was very difficult, but she was certain that Bei Qin and the others were not here, so the biggest possibility was that they were on the other side of the river. With her current cultivation, she didn't know how long she would have to stay here if she wanted to break through. After all, the amount of origin energy needed to break through from the radiant sun stage to the elementary celestial stage was just too much. Even though his current cultivation speed was much faster than before, it was still not something that could be achieved in a short period of time. Therefore, if she wanted to go to the other side of the river, she could only use the name of the fox and the others. Only by going with them would she have a chance of coming back alive. Otherwise, going there would be no different from courting death. However, the fox and the others were unwilling to go to the other side of the river, so they had been conflicted over this problem. If it's not possible, then let's wait a little longer. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly said. She also understood that her request was indeed too difficult for the demonic beasts. Chapter 69:15. Sure enough, just as Bailey Hongzhuang was deep in thought, the three demonic beasts had already walked over with a conflicted look on their faces. The fox went to Bailey Hongzhuang's side and poured a cup of tea. "White fellow, have some tea." Bailey Hongzhuang pretended not to notice and took a sip of tea before quietly looking at the fox. Facing such a sharp gaze, the fox understood that it had no choice but to say it helplessly. "White fellow, it's really not that we don't want to help you find your brother or sister. You may not be too clear about the rules on both sides of the river. We usually don't have much interaction. Generally speaking, if it's not something very important, we simply don't have any contact at all. Otherwise, once we cross the river, we'll be crossing the border, and who knows, a huge conflict might break out." The lion was also very serious. "This matter is not something that the three of us can decide. Even if we tell the other demonic beasts, they will certainly not agree. You haven't seen the battles between the demonic beasts on both sides of the river in the past. There were many casualties. It's because there hasn't been a clear winner for many years. So, in the end, both sides simply stopped contacting each other to avoid trouble." The rock nodded. "That's right. That's the reason." Bailey Hongzhuang just listened quietly. She had already expected such a situation, but she couldn't help but feel disappointed. Bei Qin and the rest were very likely to be on the other side of the river. If she couldn't go over, then they obviously wouldn't be able to come over, and it would be very difficult for them to meet up again. "White fellow, we treat you as one of us. If it's possible, we'll definitely agree to help you." The fox pulled Bailey Hongzhuang's little hand, its face full of bitterness. Ever since it found out about this white fellow's pitiful past, it had hoped to help her find her family as soon as possible. However, the other side of the river was not a place that they could easily set foot in. Looking at the worried looks of the three demonic beasts, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes gradually revealed a trace of a smile. Even if she didn't achieve her goal, these three fellows still made her feel very warm. "I understand, I've forced you to do this." Seeing this, the three demonic beasts looked at each other and felt even more guilty. "White guy, don't look at me like that." Bailey Hongzhuang rubbed the fox's paw. It felt soft and warm. "I'll think of something in the future." Rock said, "Actually, it's good for you to live with us. If your sister goes to the other side of the river, at least the long-armed demon ape won't be able to find her. Wouldn't it be great if she marries the demonic beast she likes on the other side of the river?" Bailey Hongzhuang's lips twitch. She wants Yang Qinxue to marry a monster on the other side of the river? If she knew about it, she would probably want to kill him with no other choice. Bailey Hongzhuang could only temporarily put this idea in her heart, hoping to find a suitable opportunity to go to the other side of the river. On this day, she suddenly realized that the three lazy fellows had left early in the morning. Not only them, even the lightning fox and other demonic beasts living nearby seemed to have left as if something very important had happened. "Master, could it be that something has happened?" Xiaohei also noticed that something was not right. This was not in line with the demonic beast style. Chapter 69:16. Maybe it's the demonic beast conference. Xiaohei's eyes lit up. Humans often have gatherings, so it's possible that the demonic beasts would also have such gatherings. But the strange thing is, why didn't they tell us? Bailey Hongzhuang's brows slightly wrinkled. She also didn't understand this point. After spending some time together, she knew that the demonic beasts around her had sincerely accepted her. Logically speaking, something like this shouldn't have happened. What kind of thing would they want to hide from her? Bailey Hongzhuang leaned against the tree trunk and looked into the distance. Fortunately, these three fellows weren't good at lying. Once they returned, everything would be clear. It wasn't until the afternoon that the three demonic beasts returned with heavy hearts. The fox, how do you think we should tell the white fellow about this? Rock, just say it. I feel that the white fellow would be very happy to hear this news. The lion rolled its eyes. Of course the white fellow would be very happy. But think about it, with her personality, if she went to the other side of the river, she would probably look for her family first. When that time comes, it'll be difficult for us to protect her. The fox frowned. I still think that this matter is very strange. They actually said that there were humans on the other side of the river. I think they're just trying to play to the gallery. They want to show off in front of us. We've never seen humans in this place. All right? The lion didn't believe it at all, and its voice was filled with disdain. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up when she heard this. She excitedly jumped down from the tree. Her white robes fluttered in the wind as pear blossoms fluttered down, setting off a pair of beautiful jade-like features. The three demonic beasts looked at the scene in front of them and couldn't help but sigh with emotion. The white fellow was really beautiful. You said that there were humans on the other side of the river? Her sharp and wise eyes swept across the three fellows, not giving them any chance to lie. Cough, cough. The fox coughed dryly and guiltily looked away. You heard wrong, right? Don't pretend. I heard everything clearly just now. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the three fellows with a smile. That smile was like the sun in March, warming the hearts of the three beasts. The three demonic beasts looked at each other. This was too much. She actually used the beauty trap on them. Most importantly, they had been tricked. The lion smiled foolishly. They said that they discovered humans on the other side of the river and invited us to take a look. You idiot! Why did you tell me everything? Fox said gloomily. Only then did Lion realize what he had done. He lowered his head guiltily. What had just happened? Bailey Hongzhuang was almost certain that the humans on the other side of the river were Beichen and the others. They must have mistaken my brother and sister for humans. Seeing this, the three demonic beasts looked helpless. They had already expected Bailey Hongzhuang to have such an expression after hearing this news. White fellow, I saw that the other side of the river was also solemn when they talked about this news. If you go and say that it's not the case, they will fly into a rage out of humiliation and things will become very troublesome. Bailey Hongzhuang also understood. The fox was right. Things weren't that simple. Chapter 69:17. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang's relaxed expression had been replaced by a serious one, the fox knew that she had understood the crux of the matter. White fellow, the reason why we are meeting the monsters on the other side of the river is not just to meet with the humans. The fox stopped joking around and revealed a rare look of seriousness. Then what is it? Bailey Hongzhuang was a little surprised. The monsters on both sides of the river seemed to have no contact with each other at all. You're still too young, so there are many things you don't know. The fox smiled faintly. Aside from the monsters on both sides of the river, there's also a place called the Sacred Realm. The Sacred Realm? She had never heard them mention this place before. The rock looked proud. The Sacred Realm is the most mysterious and sacred place in our world. The sacred spirit tree in the Sacred Realm will begin to bear fruit in another year. This sacred spirit tree only bears fruit once every 300 years. The fruit it bears will greatly increase our power. This is the fruit that all monsters yearn for even in their dreams. It is only at times like this that the monsters on both sides of the river will contact each other to discuss the distribution of the sacred spirit fruit. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang finally understood. So, no matter where it was, there would always be a mysterious and powerful realm. She didn't know what the sacred spirit fruit the fox and the others were talking about was, but when she thought about the looks of disdain on their faces when they ate the fruit, She had always felt that these guys were simply wasting God's gifts recklessly. They had never cared about such a good fruit that could increase their power. The sacred spirit fruit was a rare fruit for all monsters. Its effects, one could only imagine. It sounds very special and powerful. Bailey Hongzhuang's face was full of longing, and she played along with the fox's yearning and dazed expression. After all, in the eyes of the fox and the others, she was still a very young little fellow. Then when will you be discussing with the people on the other side of the river? In half a month. We are still quite a distance away from the riverside, so we'll have to set off in a few days. The fox's expression was a little complicated. Its original intention was to stop the white guy from going. It would be best if they could save the white guy's family, but if they couldn't, they could only think of another way. But now that Bai Ji had found out about everything, it was impossible to stop her from going anymore. Can I go with you? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. The three demonic beasts looked at each other, their eyes filled with helplessness and confusion. It's not impossible for you to go, but you have to promise us a few things. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Go ahead. Once you're there, you have to listen to us. Don't act on your own. Sure. When you see them, no matter what the situation is, don't be too impulsive and don't take the initiative to provoke them. All right. If you really can't save him, you have to come back with us first. We can discuss everything at length. No problem. The three demonic beasts. They had always felt that if they made such a request, the white guy would most likely not agree. Chapter 69:18. Why are you all looking at me like that? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the three demon beasts in confusion. She had already agreed to everything she could, but the way these three fellows were looking at her was even more strange. Little Bai, you've agreed so easily. You're making us a little nervous. The lion spoke out its inner thoughts. Based on the little Bai's usual stubbornness, once she saw her family, she would definitely think of ways to bring them over. Bailey Hongzhuang finally understood. She smiled and said, Don't worry, I'm not stupid. If I were to snatch them away directly, it would definitely cause a lot of trouble. I don't want to implicate you. These were her true thoughts. The three demon beasts had always helped her a lot, so she naturally did not want to implicate them. She would have to leave sooner or later, but the three demon beasts would always live here, so she could not leave them with too much trouble. Sob, sob, sob. I really didn't think that you would be so sensible. The fox looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, full of emotion. His appearance was so moving that he almost shed 2 lines of tears. I think so too. Does this count as the child finally growing up? Rock also looked like it was about to cry. She was actually thinking for them. Stop, stop. Bailey Hongzhuang quickly called out. These fellows were really too emotional. If she did not hurry and stop them, she did not know what would happen next. Rock sobbed. I knew you'd be shy, Bailey Hongzhuang. You're thinking too much. After returning to the cave, Xiaohei could not help but speak up. It had almost suffocated to death just now. Master, if we really don't have the chance to bring them back after we go there, what should we do? If there's really no other way, then we can only bring them into the Chaos Ring. Bailey Hongzhuang looked thoughtful. According to the fox and the rest description, she had a certain understanding of the demon beasts on the other side of the river. From these circumstances, she was almost certain that if Beichin and the others were living on the other side of the river, their situation would definitely not be as leisurely as she was now. Perhaps they might even be enslaved as coolies. That was because the life of the demonic beasts there was not as comfortable as the demonic beasts here. They revered strength and would often engage in fights. Beichin and the others had not broken through to the elementary celestial stage. In terms of strength, they were definitely no match for the demonic beasts. So, one could imagine the situation. Xiaohei frowned. Then are we going to reveal the secret of the Chaos Ring to Qin Xue and the others? Bailey Hongzhuang said, It's best not to let them know. Xiaohei, if we don't let them know, the chances of this generation coming back are very slim. Bailey Hongzhuang. Who said that? Xiaohei. Master, what do you mean by that? Bailey Hongzhuang said, Can't you just knock them out and bring them in? Xiaohei, Master is still the smartest. On the other side of the river. Achia! Yang Lingfeng sneezed and rubbed his nose in confusion. What's going on? Could it be that Hong Zhuang and the others are worried about us? Looking at Yang Lingfeng's expectant expression, Yang Qinxue also found it very funny. Maybe that's really the case. If it's really that accurate, then that's great. I hope they can come and save us soon. I really can't stand to stay here any longer. Chapter 69-19. It's one thing for these guys to treat us like gorillas, but they even called the beasts on the other side of the river to come and see us. They're simply unforgivable. Yang Lingfeng was completely speechless. This was what he had heard from the beasts a few days ago. It seemed like no humans had ever appeared in this place before, so when they were discovered, the beasts were very surprised. During this period of time, he felt that almost all the beasts in this area had come to see them. Not only that, he even felt that the beasts had not attacked them not because they were free labor, but because they had never seen them like this before. They could use them to show off. So, after showing off in this area, they were now going to show off in another area. Speaking of which, it's strange. Beichen and Hong Zhuang are not with us. Since we've encountered such a situation, it's very likely that their situation is very similar. Why haven't we heard any news of humans from other places? Yang Qinxue's face was full of doubt. Her feelings were very complicated. On one hand, she wanted to hear such news to confirm the safety of Beichen and the others. On the other hand, she did not want to hear it because this situation was too tragic. Could it be that they were lucky and did not encounter these beasts? After saying this, even Yang Lingfeng himself felt that it was impossible. This area was almost filled with beasts, and there were beasts living here at intervals. As long as Beichen was transported here with them, there was no possibility that they would not encounter other beasts. Then what's going on? Yang Lingfeng's expression changed. Could it be that the two of us are too stupid, so we're being treated like this by these beasts? Yang Qinxue. She was originally worried that Beichen and the others were in danger, but after hearing Yang Lingfeng's words, her worries dissipated. Indeed, Beichen and the others were very smart. No matter what kind of situation they encountered, they should have the ability to turn danger into safety. The more Yang Lingfeng thought about it, the more he felt that his thoughts were correct. There must be something wrong with the way the two of us handled the situation. Maybe Beichen and the others have already become one with the demonic beasts. Only the two of us are so stupid that we ended up in this situation. If that's really the case, Hong Zhuang and the others should know that it's us once the news of the appearance of humans spreads. Yang Qinxue's eyes lit up. This was a good opportunity. She might even be able to rescue them. Wouldn't that be too embarrassing for us? Yang Lingfeng looked hesitant. No matter what, they were older than Beichen and the others. He still remembered that before they set off, they had vowed to take good care of Beichen and Hong Zhuang. Now, they actually needed them to save them. A hint of awkwardness flashed across Yang Qinxue's face. There's nothing we can do about it. It's better to embarrass ourselves than to continue staying here. The only thing she was thankful for now was that Bai Qingli did not come with them to train. Otherwise, once she saw the situation they were in, she would not have the face to see anyone in the future. You're right. Yang Lingfeng nodded, and a hint of seriousness appeared on his face. In the next second, he suddenly cried out with a long face, Beichen, Hong Zhuang, hurry up and save us. Chapter 69-20. The Ape Clan. Ever since the long-armed demon ape was taught a harsh lesson, he had been suppressing a bellyful of anger. Everything he said was the truth. It was one thing for that human to frame him with a groundless accusation, but those idiots believed it and even beat him up to the point where he was severely injured because of her. Its injuries were too serious. Even with its recovery ability, it had only gradually recovered after returning for so long. It still needed some time to recuperate before it could fully recover. It had been thinking about how it could turn the tables. That white fellow was too cunning, but until now, it still could not figure out how the other party knew its name. If it couldn't explain this point, then no one would believe it at all. Even if it went there again, its ending would be even worse than this time. Until it heard the news of the human race on the other side of the river, the long-armed devil ape finally felt that its anger had subsided. White fellow, I'd like to see how you're going to quibble this time. Ever since she had agreed to the 3 demonic beasts' request, Bailey Hongzhuang had successfully joined the team, heading to the other side of the river. Following by the side of the three demonic beasts, this was the first time she had truly gone on a long journey. Previously, her range of activity was limited to the area near the cave. She had never been to places further away. Fortunately, now that she had become familiar with these demonic beasts through the clothes and delicious food, coupled with the fact that the fox and the other two demonic beasts were quite popular, everyone's attitude towards her was more cordial. Along the way, they crossed mountains and streams. Bailey Hongzhuang realized that the environment of this place was much more beautiful than she had imagined. The place where she lived was mostly green. Along the way, she had even passed by a sea of flowers. This kind of naturally formed sea of flowers was simply too spectacular. It was like a fairyland. Nothing more beautiful could be imagined. The fox and the other two demonic beasts originally did not have any feelings towards this kind of scenery. But after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and Xiao Hei's amazed expressions, they suddenly felt that it was very interesting. White fellow, one look and I can tell that you haven't been to this place before. That's why you're so curious about everything here. The fox smiled. If you like it here, we can come here often in the future. Anyway, this is the residence of the lion's good friend, the water cloud rhinoceros. He won't mind if we stay here for a while. Shui Yunqi, who was not far away, nodded after hearing this. No problem. You can stay as long as you want. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a warm smile. If possible, she really felt that living here would be excellent. Master, since the cultivation speed here is faster than in the realm of chaos, why don't we stay here for a while? At the very least, it won't be too late to return after we've broken through to the elementary celestial stage. Xiao Hei's eyes shone brightly. It really felt that this place was too good. Cultivators had a long lifespan. In the chaotic immortal realm, it would definitely take more time to break through to the elementary immortal realm. Bailey Hongzhuang also fell into deep thought. She also felt that this idea was very good. Let's discuss this matter after we find Beichen. Chapter 69-21. She's never seen the world. Bailey Hongzhuang heard the main point in the lion's words. So, she was being despised for looking like she was enjoying the beautiful scenery. The fox frowned. Lion, you should at least be more tactful with your words. This white fellow is still young, and she's never left the house before. It's normal that she's never seen the world. The rock nodded. How can we lower ourselves to the level of a little demon beast? Little demon beasts have never seen the world in the first place. Bailey Hongzhuang, did he have to keep emphasizing the word, never seen the world? The three demon beasts had always been loud. After hearing the lion's words, the other demon beasts around them looked curious. This white fellow has never seen the world. You should just bring her out to see it more often in the future. Bailey Hongzhuang was speechless. Don't worry, it won't happen when I'm there. The lion also realized that his words were not very appropriate. His face flashed what he thought was a kind smile. Unfortunately, his exposed teeth looked even more frightening. White fellow, don't take it to heart. We've never seen the world before. That's enough. Bailey Hongzhuang turned her head away. This fellow might as well not explain himself. The more he tried to explain, the more he made things worse. After hurrying on for several days, Bailey Hongzhuang finally arrived at the river that separated the two territories. The river was very wide, and the demon beasts looked unusually small in the face of such a river. Bailey Hongzhuang could only see the figures of demon beasts on the opposite side of the river. The other party had obviously noticed them as well. Why aren't the apes here yet? The fox looked around. Could it be that the long-armed demon ape is holding a grudge after being taught a lesson by us? Impossible. Although the long-armed demon ape is rather popular in the ape clan, its status is not that high. This is about the Holy Spirit fruit. It would be strange if they didn't come. The lion's face was full of disdain. Now that he thought about the long-armed demon ape's actions, he could not help but feel disgusted. Bailey Hongzhuang also looked around and couldn't help but feel a little worried. Last time, he had fooled everyone and framed the long-armed demonic ape with a groundless accusation. This time, however, the number of demonic beasts from the ape clan was not small. It would not be easy for her to fool all of these guys. Most importantly, once the apes collectively denied it, how was she going to explain herself? Thinking of this, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but look at the fiery red clothes she was wearing. Fortunately, Fox had suggested that they all wear the same color clothes to show their imposing manner. His only hope now was to reduce his presence. It would be best if he didn't get discovered by the apes, although the possibility wasn't high. Look, those guys on the other side of the river have appeared. A few days ago, I noticed that they were all wearing red clothes. Today, I saw that they were all wearing red clothes. The bright red color is really beautiful. Where do they get these clothes from? I've never seen it before. The group of demonic beasts stared at the group of fiery red clothes on the other side of the river, and their eyes filled with a thick sense of envy. Even though they were very far away and could not see clearly, they could roughly see that their clothes were really beautiful. We'll ask them when they arrive. If it's possible, I'd like to have one too. Me too. It's really beautiful. Chapter 69:22. Yang Qinxue and Yang Lingfeng were guarded at the side. As they were the two humans who were used to show off today, the beasts watched them very closely. They were worried that if they ran away, they would embarrass themselves in front of the beasts on the other side of the river. Therefore, they were standing by the river and looking at the scene on the other side of the river. Before this, they had clearly heard the beasts say that they would show the beasts on the other side of the river how their strength had increased after so many years. Their words were filled with hostility. However, when a sea of fiery red appeared on the other side of the river, these guys seemed to have forgotten their previous bold words, and all their attention was diverted to the other party's clothes. Aren't you guys too fickle? I finally understand. Although these beasts are very strong, their brain circuits are still very simple. Yang Lingfeng raised his eyebrows. He hadn't paid attention to this point before. He only felt that these demonic beasts were ferocious, and he was worried that he would be cooked and eaten by them if he spoke a word. However, after seeing them today, he felt that these fellows weren't that scary. Beasts are beasts. Their thoughts are naturally not as complicated as humans. Yang Qinxue's eyes revealed a trace of emotion. However, these demonic beasts are quite clever with their hands. I see that the clothes are very fitting. It looks very interesting. Yang Lingfeng chuckled. He had never seen such a scene on a daily basis. The apes are here. One of the beasts suddenly noticed the group in the distance and immediately shouted. Bailey Hongzhuang turned her eyes to the side, only to see a group of people majestically walking over. The apes were also very large in size. Unlike other beasts, they walked on two legs. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the various apes in front of her and sighed in her heart. This time, she had seen all the types of apes. Among them, she realized that other than some of the larger apes, there were also some apes that were not very large. Other than the hair on their faces, they were similar to her. Master, the long-armed demon ape, is in the middle. Xiao Hei's sharp eyes spotted the long-armed demon ape. It noticed that this fellow was also looking around. It was probably looking for them, so it immediately turned its head. Bailey Hongzhuang quietly glanced over. Sure enough, the long-armed devil ape was wearing an unhappy face. There was even a faint hint of killing intent. Obviously, this guy wanted to turn the tables today. Be careful. It's best not to be noticed by this guy. Bailey Hongzhuang lowered her voice. Today's group could be said to be very large. In addition, many of the demonic beasts were huge in size. She did not attract any attention at all. Long-armed demon ape, are you looking for the white guy? We're here. As soon as Rock noticed the long-armed demon ape, his fighting spirit was immediately ignited. This guy really made people want to beat him up every time they saw him. This voice immediately attracted the attention of the long-armed demon ape. Then, its gaze landed on Bailey Hongzhuang, who was beside Rock. Bailey Hongzhuang, one should not be afraid of a godlike opponent, but one should be afraid of a pig-like teammate. This sentence was vividly reflected on Rock. Bailey Hongzhuang facepalmed. How could she forget that she had these pig-like teammates? Chapter 69:23. The long-armed demon ape narrowed its eyes as it glared hatefully at Bailey Hongzhuang. This fellow was relying on the protection of the lion and the others, which was why it was so arrogant. It actually dared to bring up the previous incident in front of everyone. It was trying to humiliate it if it did not avenge itself this time. How could it have the face to be a slut in the future? Many of the apes did not know that the long-armed demon ape had previously clashed with the lion and the others. When they heard the lion and the others' words, they looked at the long-armed demon ape with a strange look in their eyes. What did the long-armed demon ape do? We don't usually go to that territory. It had run over there for no apparent reason. Could it have done something bad? I think that's not impossible. Look at the lion and the others' righteous indignation. It's not a pretense. The long-armed demon ape listened to the discussions around it, and its expression turned unusually ugly. These fellows. Just you wait. The long-armed demon ape gritted its teeth and transmitted its voice. Now is not a good time to explain. It would deal with it when it found a good opportunity. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. She had been worried that the situation would blow up, but now it seemed that the situation was much better than she had imagined. It could be seen that this fellow's reputation in the ape tribe was not very good. Otherwise, everyone would not have doubted it. Master, the long-armed demon ape is about to die from anger. Xiaohei looked excited. This guy isn't easy to deal with either. We'll have to be careful later. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression sank. If this had been any other time, it would have been fine. However, they were now faced with the problem of rescuing Beichen and the others. Once the long-armed demon ape found out about her intentions, it would definitely obstruct them. Things would then become very troublesome. What should we do then? Xiaohei also realized that with this fellow obstructing them, the already difficult task will become even more difficult. Let's adapt to the situation. Bailey Hongzhuang spoke slowly. It's best if we can find a way to convict the long-armed demon ape. Since everyone is here, let's go to the other side of the river. The oldest demonic beast in the lead suggested. The other demonic beasts nodded in agreement and set off together. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the wide river in front of her. With her cultivation, it shouldn't be a problem for her to fly across it, but the wind and wave were extremely strong. Just as she was about to set off, the lion suddenly said, "White guy, sit on my back. I'll fly you over." Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly startled, and then she heard explain, "Your cultivation is too weak. You won't be able to cross this river." Fox nodded as well. Only if your cultivation level increases a little more will it be possible. With your current cultivation level, you'll be blown away by the wind. Bailey Hongzhuang, after sitting on the lion's back, the lion said, "Hold on to my neck. We're leaving now." Bailey Hongzhuang did not dare to be careless. Although these three fellows were usually unreliable, they were usually more reliable when it came to matters like this. It was only when the lion flew into the sky that Bailey Hongzhuang realized how terrifying the demonic wind on the riverbank was. The shocking wind contained a frightening power. It was no longer just wind. It was as if a huge mountain was attacking. Chapter 69:24. Oh my God, what kind of river is this? Xiaohei hugged Bailey Hongzhuang's neck tightly. It felt as if it was going to be blown away. This kind of wind could probably blow the chaotic immortal realm to pieces. You have to hold on tight. Bailey Hongzhuang reminded Xiaohei. If it was blown away, it would not know where to find it again. I know how to do it. Xiaohei's voice was dragged out by the wind. It used all its strength in its arms and unleashed its essence power to the maximum. Bailey Hongzhuang noticed that even demonic beasts who had broken through to the elementary immortal stage were in a difficult situation when faced with this kind of demonic wind. Only demonic beasts who were more powerful were relatively better off. They were only crossing a river, but Bailey Hongzhuang felt as if a long time had passed. When she landed, she could even feel a gust of wind blowing. Even when she walked, she was still walking at a slanted angle. "Are you all right, little bye?" The fox looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with concern. The wind and waves on this river are always so strong. Demonic beasts who are weaker would not come here at this time. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly and tidied up her clothes. As for her hairstyle, it was too horrible to look at. When they saw Bailey Hongzhuang's actions, the fox and the others also tidied up. Fortunately, it was easier for them to tidy up their fur. Xiaohei, how are you? Bailey Hongzhuang turned around. She was slightly stronger than Xiaohei. Even she could not withstand the wind earlier. Presumably, Xiaohei's situation was even worse. When she looked, she realized that Xiaohei's fur had turned into a bird's nest. At this moment, it looked as if there was nothing left to live for. When she got closer, she could hear the little fellows muttering clearly. If Astra's king ended up like this. I can't even cross a river. Forget it. Bailey Hongzhuang flicked the space between its eyebrows. Why don't you spend more time cultivating? Xiaohei had a serious look on her face. It seems like I've been eating too little. When Yang Lingfeng noticed a group of demonic beasts crossing the river, his eyes were also filled with deep amazement. Sister, this river doesn't seem to be as calm as we thought. Did you see that? It's not easy for these demonic beasts to cross the river. Yang Qinxue nodded slightly. Logically speaking, the strength of the demonic beasts on both sides should be about the same. If it was so difficult to cross the river with such strength, then it's over. This river is so treacherous. If we don't see Hongzhuang and the others this time, wouldn't it be hopeless for us to cross this river to find them? At this moment, Yang Qinxue suddenly pointed at a lion flying in the sky and said excitedly, Ling Feng, quickly take a look. Is the person on the back of that lion Hongzhuang? Where? Yang Lingfeng immediately raised his head to look. The lion was tall and mighty. It stood out among the group of demonic beasts. Very quickly, he noticed the familiar slim figure. Immediately, his eyes filled with excitement. That's right, it's Hongzhuang. Hongzhuang is here. We might be saved. Yang Qinxue was pleasantly surprised. She had been looking forward to seeing Beiqin and Hongzhuang as soon as possible. Now that she could finally see them, her heart was filled with joy. Chapter 69:25. Why don't I see Beiqin? Yang Qinxue looked around carefully, and her expression became complicated. It seems that Beiqin isn't here. Could it be that Hongzhuang hasn't found him yet? The teleportation this time is really baffling. Yang Lingfeng sighed. We were clearly teleported together. Logically speaking, we should have appeared in the same place. Why do we suddenly appear in different places? There are too many different things that can happen in random mystic realms. Even Father wouldn't be able to figure this out. No matter what, being able to find Hongzhuang is already good enough. Yang Qinxue felt a little comforted. At least the three of them were able to meet each other. Presumably, finding Beiqin wouldn't be a problem. Look, the demonic beasts by Hongzhuang's side seemed to care about her. Indeed, Yang Qinxue's eyes lit up. That lion was willing to let Hongzhuang sit on its back. From this point alone, she could tell that it cared about her. What's more, after landing, several demonic beasts surrounded Hongzhuang. It was as if everyone was protecting their treasure. Comparisons are odious. Hongzhuang is alone there, and she even has so many demonic beasts protecting her. Yang Lingfeng looked at Yang Qinxue, then looked at himself. The two of us were captured and brought here to do manual labor. The difference between us is too big. Yang Qinxue, will you die if you don't say it? Only after the demonic beasts were organized did they all walk forward. Bailey Hongzhuang also noticed the demonic beasts on the other side of the river. There wasn't much difference between the demonic beasts, but she could see a trace of ferocity in their eyes. The fox was right. There were more fights between the demonic beasts here, so their temperament was more violent. Fortunately, the demonic beasts on their side, except for the ape clan, were all wearing red clothes. It was easy to distinguish them. After the group of demonic beasts met, they directly stopped in front of the open space. Bailey Hongzhuang then noticed that this should be a specially prepared meeting place. The surrounding trees were all flattened, leaving only green grass. The demonic beasts from both sides were feigning civility. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the three fellows beside her and saw that they were all smiling insincerely. It was obvious that they didn't have any good impression of the demonic beasts on this side. The demonic beasts on both sides were all highly respected individuals. Therefore, the negotiation of the Holy Spirit fruit was entirely up to them. Although the Holy Spirit fruit would only ripen once every 300 years, there had been many discussions about it in the past. Therefore, the discussion this time was not very complicated. The only thing that was discussed was how many demonic beasts each side would send. Bailey Hongzhuang was very interested in the Holy Spirit fruit, but she was not interested in the discussion between the two parties. In any case, with her strength, she was completely negligible among these demonic beasts. Even if she really raised her opinion, it would be useless. Therefore, her goal after coming here was to find the human that the other demonic beasts mentioned. Xiaohei, go and look around nearby. Bailey Hongzhuang noticed that other than the demonic beasts, there was no sign of Beichun and the rest. She could only send Xiaohei out to search. If she could take the opportunity to rescue Beichun and the rest before that, it would be the best. Then, she wouldn't have to worry about being exposed. Master, leave it to me. Xiaohei nodded seriously. Chapter 69-26. Xiaohei was stunned when she heard Bailey Hongzhuang's words. However, she quickly understood what was going on. After all, this was the territory of other demonic beasts. If she was discovered and did not call for help, she might be killed by the other demonic beasts. Calling for help might give her a chance of survival. Don't worry, I definitely won't be discovered. Xiaohei patted his chest, as if to leave everything to me. Xiaohei was small to begin with. In addition, everyone's attention was on how to go to the Holy World. No demonic beasts would notice her departure. Yang Lingfeng and Yang Qinxue were also locked up in the cave. They were extremely excited when they saw Hongzhuang. All they wanted was to find a chance to reunite with Hongzhuang. However, they were chased into the cave and locked up as soon as the demonic beasts on the other side of the river arrived. I heard from the other demonic beasts that they gathered here today to discuss something about the Holy World. It seems to be very important. Yang Qinxue's heart calmed down. Since they saw Hongzhuang, at least half of their worries were gone. It was time to think about the current situation. This so-called Holy World should be a sacred place in this world. Anyway, there are places like this in every realm. Yang Lingfeng spread his hands. No matter which realm, there would be a sacred place like this. It was almost the belief of the entire world. Just like how the immortal domain was in the hearts of the cultivators in the realm of chaotic immortal. Every cultivator hoped to go to the immortal domain one day. These demonic beasts are already so powerful. For them to yearn for a place like this so-called holy ring is really not simple. Yang Lingfeng's eyes lit up when he heard that. Sister, you're right. If we can follow these guys to the Holy World, we might be able to use this opportunity to break through to the elementary immortal stage. Yang Qinxue nodded slightly. Her fair face was filled with excitement. As a member of the realm of chaotic immortal, she knew very well what it meant to break through to the elementary immortal stage. I really envy Hongzhuang, Yang Lingfeng suddenly said. Yang Lingfeng suddenly sighed. If we can coexist peacefully with these monster beasts like it does, then we will be able to understand why they are so powerful. During this period of time, this was the question they were most curious about. They knew very well how difficult it was to reach the elementary celestial stage. However, among the demonic beasts that he had seen during this period of time, apart from the young ones, almost all of the adult demonic beasts had already broken through. How shocking was this level of strength? If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed that such a place existed in the world. Perhaps Hongzhuang already knows the secret of their breakthrough. Yang Qinxue smiled. She did not doubt Hongzhuang's ability at all. I just don't know how we can leave. Even if Hongzhuang wants to save us, it will be very difficult. Yang Lingfeng frowned. If Hongzhuang was implicated because of them, it would be even worse. Let's play it by ear. I believe we can leave this place. Chapter 69-27. Faced with Yang Lingfeng's expectant gaze, Yang Qinxue replied calmly, I haven't come up with an idea, but I believe that Hongzhuang will have a way. Yang Lingfeng. All right, you're right. Xiaohei wandered around for a while, but he didn't see any trace of Yang Lingfeng's group. Suddenly, a trace of anxiety appeared on his face. He wasn't sure how long these demonic beasts would discuss, so he had to race against time. Finally, after it had wandered around, it saw a cave not far away. When it got closer, it realized that there were still beasts guarding it, and its suspicions grew. It shrunk its body to its limit and slowly approached the cave. However, when it got closer, it realized that the beasts guarding the cave seemed to have sensed its presence and began to look around vigilantly. This made its heart skip a beat. These beasts were generally very strong, and with its cultivation, it would be very difficult for it to hide its presence in front of these beasts. When it thought of this, it immediately stopped in its tracks and thought about how it could divert the attention of these beasts. Suddenly, Xiaohei had an idea. It took out a bag of dry rations, and a trace of reluctance flashed in its eyes. Then, it threw it not far away. "I hope that you're all foodies, and don't disappoint me." Xiaohei prayed silently. It did not bring many things with it, and the only thing it brought with it was food. When the two demonic beasts on guard heard the movement in front of them, a trace of vigilance appeared on their faces. When they got closer and found that there was actually very tempting food inside, the two demonic beasts' eyes were filled with thick excitement. "What kind of food is this? How come I've never seen it before? It smells so good, why don't we try it?" The beasts from the other side of the river came today, and suddenly there's food that we've never seen before. We'll explode? The two beasts were a little hesitant. On one hand, they could not resist the temptation of delicious food, but on the other hand, they were worried that some other beast was trying to lure them in. "Why don't we go and ask for instructions first? If anything happens, the two of us can't bear the responsibility." All right. When Xiaohei saw the two beasts being so vigilant, a trace of despair appeared in its heart. After all, other than this method, it could not think of any other way to lure these two beasts away. However, when it saw the two beasts discuss and then leave together to find other beasts to appraise the food, it could not wrap its head around it. Sure enough, demonic beasts had completely different brain circuits compared to humans. "I'm really smart." Blackie's face was filled with pride. Although it was also a demonic beast, it was obviously much smarter than these guys. In the next moment, it quickly approached the cave's entrance. Yang Qinxue and her brother had also been paying attention to the movements outside the cave. When they discovered that the two demonic beasts had suddenly left, they were somewhat puzzled. At this moment, a familiar voice sounded beside them. "I've finally found you." Hearing this voice, the siblings were both stunned. They hurriedly looked around, and only then did they notice Blackie's figure on the ground. His confusion turned into surprise. "Little Black, you're here." Chapter 69:28. The moment Master heard that there were humans here, she knew that you two must be here. Xiaohei smiled as she carefully sized up the two of them. After making sure that they were safe, she relaxed a little. However, she soon noticed another problem. "Are there only the two of you? Is the male master not here?" Yang Lingfeng shook his head. "Beichun is not with us. We always thought that he was with Hong Zhuang. Could it be that we still don't know where Beichun is?" Xiaohei's heart sank. Master had always wanted to find the male master as soon as possible. She thought that they would be able to meet up on the other side of the river this time. However, the male master was not here. Wouldn't the situation become even more complicated? "Then have you heard any news about the male master?" Xiaohei looked at the two of them with a serious expression. The fox and the others had almost searched the entire opposite side of the river, but did not see any signs of humans. It was obvious that the possibility of the male master being there was very low. In that case, only this area was left. However, if they could not find the male master this time, they did not know when they would be able to come to the other side of the river again. We did not hear the monsters mention seeing humans in other places. Yang Qinxue also realized that the situation was not good, but she still told the truth about the situation. These demonic beasts had never seen humans before, so when they saw them, they all showed a very surprised expression. If Beichun was also here, then as long as he was discovered by these demonic beasts, they would definitely make a big fuss and shout for all the demonic beasts to take a look. However, they had never heard of such a commotion. So where did Beichun run off to? Could it be that Beichun is lucky and has not been caught by other monsters? It's not impossible. However, if that's the case, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. The area of this forest was not small, and the river was very difficult to cross. If they went to the wrong area, it would be difficult to find them again unless they had a breakthrough in strength. However, Xiaohei quickly regained her senses. Now is not the time to talk about this. The most important thing is to take this opportunity to leave this place. Yang Qinxue and Yang Lingfeng regained their senses and followed Xiaohei out of the room. At the same time, there was a hint of hesitation in Xiaohei's eyes. He was wondering if he should follow his master's instructions and knock the two unconscious before bringing them into the chaos ring. After all, this was the most convenient way to deal with them. At this moment, there was a sudden movement outside. Xiaohei immediately sensed that the demonic beast that had left earlier had returned. Damn it, these two fellows are too fast. He had only said a few words, yet he had already rushed back. Could it be that he had already discovered the problem? Yang Qinxue and Yang Lingfeng also stopped in their tracks, and their expressions turned ugly. Then don't worry about us. Leave first, and we'll think of a way later. Hearing this, Xiaohei also understood the seriousness of the situation at hand. Its figure also quickly rolled out of the room. Chapter 69-29. The two demonic beasts rushed back and immediately checked the situation inside the cave. When they saw that Yang Qinxue and Yang Feng were still inside, they heaved a sigh of relief. That scared me to death. I really thought that the two of them had taken the opportunity to run away. I think they deliberately tricked us and then snatched the food away. The two of us have been tricked. The two demonic beasts sat outside the cave with gloomy expressions. The two humans had always been very obedient. They had not even struggled before, let alone run away. They were simply overthinking things. Yang Qinxue and Yang Feng were only one step away from leaving this place, but they were forcefully trapped inside the cave. They were already feeling very depressed. At this moment, when they heard the two demonic beasts' conversation, they almost vomited blood. Xiaohei looked around and did not dare to stay in the same place for too long. This discussion might end at any time. This was because the demonic beast's brain circuits were very simple. They were different from the human race's communication. They were usually very straightforward and did not take much time. Although they did not manage to get them out directly, at least they were not completely empty-handed. Xiaohei comforted itself before passing through the crowd of demonic beasts and returning to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. How was it? Seeing that Xiaohei had returned, Bailey Hongzhuang immediately asked, I saw Yang Qinxue and Yang Lingfeng. Unfortunately, I did not see the male master. I wanted to take the opportunity to bring them out first, but the two guards came back too quickly, so I did not manage to make it in time. Xiaohei's face was full of guilt. Before it left, it had made a solemn vow. It did not expect that it would not succeed. You said that Beichen is not here? Bailey Hongzhuang's expression changed slightly. This situation was clearly beyond her expectations. Xiaohei nodded slightly. They said that they did not hear any news about the male master either. Bailey Hongzhuang fell silent when she heard this. She could not help but feel a little depressed. Master, maybe the male master has not been discovered in other places. It's also possible that he dug a cave and stayed somewhere. The area here is so big. If the male master has found a place to stay, it's very possible that he has not been discovered by the other demonic beasts for a while. Bailey Hongzhuang did not say anything. She was not very worried about Beichen's safety because these demonic beasts did not seem to be too cruel to humans. Of course, she ignored the situation when the three demonic beasts first met her with Beichen's intelligence. It shouldn't be too difficult to solve this situation. However, disappointment was inevitable. She hadn't seen Beichen for a long time. Normally, they were together almost every day. Now that they had not seen each other for such a long time, it was inevitable that they would miss each other. Master, Bailey Hongzhuang returned to her senses. Only then did she notice that Xiaohei was looking at her worriedly. The corners of her lips curled into a faint smile. Don't worry, I'm fine. I just have to think about how to rescue Qinxue and Yang Lingfeng later. Bailey Hongzhuang had been thinking of a solution. During this process, the discussion finally came to a conclusion. The demonic beasts on both sides seemed to be very satisfied with this result. Bailey Hongzhuang felt rather helpless. This was because the result was exactly the same as the result 300 years ago. Nothing had changed at all, so the discussion this time was probably just for show. Chapter 69:30. As these words fell, the demonic beasts to the south of the riverbank all looked curiously at the demonic beasts to the north of the riverbank. This was indeed one of their goals for coming here. That's right. Where are the humans that you were talking about? Bring them here for us to see. The demonic beasts from the north looked curiously at the demonic beasts from the opposite bank. There was also a trace of pride in their eyes. We said that we caught the humans, so we naturally caught them. We'll let you see them in a while. The leading saber-toothed tiger raised its eyebrows. There was no doubt that the arrogance on its face was undeniable. I want to see what the humans look like. There was a trace of excitement on the long-armed demon ape's face. Its gaze quietly swept past Bailey Hongzhuang. As long as the demonic beast from the north of the river caught the same demonic beast as the white guy, then it would be able to wash away its grievances. At that time, it would make the white guy suffer a fate worse than death. Noticing the long-armed demon ape's gaze, Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at it indifferently. Her aura was not weak at all, but she was thinking about how to explain their identities later. The apes were all here. Although they did look the most similar to the apes, it was impossible to make up a race out of nowhere, right? The saber-toothed tiger also noticed the long-armed demon ape. It admired this fellow very much. After all, it was originally worried that no one would help to create momentum. Now that there was a demonic beast from the south of the river helping to create momentum, it would naturally be easier for it to show off. Come, bring the two humans here. The saber-toothed tiger waved its hand. A demonic flame fox behind it immediately ran to the back. The other demonic beasts gathered at the side, waiting for a good show. Although there's more food in the south, you're not well informed. You haven't even seen a human before. Coincidentally, I'll let you see the world this time. You won't be ignorant in the future, right? The saber-toothed tiger had a smile on its face. Its words were also merciless and sarcastic. The other demonic beasts from the north also laughed. There was a trace of joy in their eyes. They had always been envious of the abundance of food south of the riverbank, but they could only survive here. One could imagine how unhappy they were. The demonic beasts in the south didn't need to compete at all. They could live a good life, and the speed at which their strength increased wasn't slow. On the other hand, due to the lack of food, they would often fight over food. Their days were not as leisurely as theirs. However, because of the competition in the past, everyone's speed of improvement was not slower than the demonic beasts in the south. Now that he had such an opportunity to taunt the other party, he naturally couldn't ask for more. Following the saber-toothed tiger's words, the demonic beasts to the south of the riverbank suddenly had ugly expressions on their faces. They didn't believe that these fellows had become accustomed to the human race. Presumably, when they first met the human race, the situation wasn't much better than theirs. It was just deliberately putting on an act in front of them now. However, they were helpless because they couldn't refute him at all. After all, they had never seen a human before. Saber-toothed tiger, don't get too cocky. Maybe you didn't find a human at all. Fox suddenly spoke up. Chapter 69:31. The fox's face instantly turned ashen. Who are you calling stupid? Haven't I made myself clear enough? The saber-toothed tiger retorted. Aren't you the representative of brainless? You still have the nerve to call yourself a fox. What a joke. You idiot. Are you looking for trouble? The fox was instantly enraged. Usually, no one would dare to speak to it in such a manner. So what if I'm looking for trouble? Do you want to fight me? The saber-toothed tiger narrowed its eyes, and the demonic beast behind it suddenly stepped forward. They looked as if they were not afraid of trouble at all. Seeing this, the lion and the rest of the demonic beasts stepped forward as well. Usually, they would not take the initiative to cause trouble, but since the other party had taken the initiative to stir up trouble, they were not afraid at all. The atmosphere instantly turned hostile. Bailey Hongzhuang stood in front of the fox. I thought that the demonic beasts from the north of the riverbank were very impressive. I never thought that you would not even know how to treat your guests. Why? Since you can't defeat us in a direct confrontation, You've purposely used such an excuse to attract us here, so that you can attack us? Once those words were spoken, the demonic beast from the south of the riverbank immediately reacted. We haven't seen each other for so many years, and I never thought that you would become more and more shameless. I was wondering why you had suddenly invited us here. So that's what you were planning. Let me tell you this. Even if we're here, we're not afraid of a fight. Oomph. Almost all the demonic beasts were enraged by Bailey Hongzhuang's words. Initially, the saber-toothed tiger had only targeted the fox, so they were not that angry. Now that they had understood everything, they felt that these fellows were simply too shameless. The saber-toothed tiger clearly did not expect that it had only taken the opportunity to ridicule the fox in order to avenge itself. Why had it suddenly been labeled as a despicable and shameless person? What nonsense are you spouting? At this moment, not only the demonic beasts from the south of the riverbank, even the local demonic beasts had a complicated look on their faces. As demonic beasts, they felt that a direct confrontation was not a problem. However, using such despicable means was very problematic. Hey, don't look at me like that. That's not what I meant at all. The saber-toothed tiger hurriedly explained, but its heart was already extremely vexed. It looked in the direction of the fox, but it did not know who had spoken just now. However, when the demonic beast from the south of the river saw that the saber-toothed tiger was actually staring fiercely in the direction of the fox, they immediately became even angrier. This fellow kept saying that it didn't have any, but it didn't act like this. The long-armed demon, Ape's cold gaze landed on Bailey Hongzhuang. It was very familiar with this woman's tricks. Previously, it had fallen into the trap of this infuriating person and inexplicably carried a groundless title on its back. It didn't even have to explain. Why should I believe you just because you say so? At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang was obviously enjoying the show. It was best to make the situation more chaotic and create conflicts between the two sides. When the time came for her rescue, as long as the demonic beasts in the south of the riverbank were on her side, then the matter would become much easier to solve. It wasn't. The saber-toothed tiger hurriedly said when it heard the familiar voice. Unless you prove it with your actions. How do you want to prove it? Chapter 69:32. When the saber-toothed tiger heard this, it subconsciously wanted to agree. As long as it could get rid of the despicable name of setting traps, it was willing to do anything. After all, such a name was a disgrace to demon beasts. At this moment, the fierce cloud monkey beside the saber-toothed tiger nudged its elbow, indicating that it should not be fooled. The saber-toothed tiger paused and swallowed the words that it was about to blurt out. Bailey Hongzhuang also noticed the fierce cloud monkey's little action and narrowed her eyes slightly. Indeed, the monkey had always been smarter and did not fall for the trick. Of course, it's fine if you don't agree. Anyway, we've already seen through your scheme. I really didn't expect this, TSK. Bailey Hongzhuang's taunting voice rang out, inciting the emotions of the beasts. The saber-toothed tiger man was already fuming with rage, especially when he heard the clicks at the end. He could no longer hold himself back and blurted out, "Fine, I'll agree to it. I'm an honest beast." The fierce cloud monkey wanted to stop it, but it was too late. The saber-toothed tiger had already spoken. If it went back on its words now, it would be despised even more. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up slightly when she heard this. She had already achieved her goal. When the saber-toothed tiger heard the sigh behind it, it immediately realized that it was indeed too impulsive. Unfortunately, it was too late to regret. It could only keep looking in the direction of the fox, wanting to know who the fellow who spoke was. However, the lion's body was too huge and kept blocking its view, so it could not see who it was. Xiaohei quietly gave a thumbs up. Master's actions were indeed different. Naturally, it knew that Master had provoked the saber-toothed tiger to say such words in order to save Yang Qinxue and Xiaohei. As long as the other party did not take the initiative to attack, they were not afraid of using their brains at all. Master, now I finally know who I've been following. I've always liked to watch a good show and take the initiative to stir up trouble. Little Black had a look of realization on his face. I'm just like Master Bailey Hongzhuang. I don't usually stir up trouble, okay? Rock was also excited at this moment. White fellow, I really didn't expect you to be so good at arguing. I also didn't expect you to be so good at arguing. We can't compare to you. You just quarrel with them and anger them to death. Bailey Hongzhuang, it's over. I can't clear this attribute even if I jump into the Yellow River. White fellow. At this moment, the fox suddenly turned to Bailey Hongzhuang and said, I take back what I said. Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly surprised. What did you say before? You're not allowed to stir up trouble. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up. She couldn't avoid looking for trouble today, but she had always been worried about the 3 demonic beasts. She didn't want to implicate them, nor did she want to make them unhappy. But Rock Tiger, 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 Tiger to kill her 2 of its. The lion was also very happy. Yes, we have to cause trouble and anger them to death. Rock, that's right, that's right. White fellow, you'll anger them to death later. This fellow has been an eyesore to me for a long time. Even if humans appear later, don't be too shocked. We can't let them have the chance to be smug. Chapter 69:33. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the group of demonic beasts who were egging her on to stir up trouble and instantly felt extremely heroic. Normally, she really didn't cause much trouble, but this saber-toothed tiger that was an eyesore actually dared to bully their fox. She had to teach it a lesson. Everyone, cooperate with me later. I'll make it difficult for them. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her brows, and the surrounding demonic beasts all nodded in agreement. For a moment, she felt as if she had become the boss and was surrounded by her demonic beast underlings. Furthermore, they were all at the elementary, celestial stage and above. At this moment, the demonic flame raccoon had already brought Yang Qinxue and Yang Lingfeng over. Following their appearance, the demonic beasts on the north side of the river all had smug looks on their faces. They were just waiting to see this group of demonic beasts who had never seen the world reveal expressions of amazement. However, after waiting for a moment, they didn't hear any exclamations of amazement. Only a few members of the ape clan revealed looks of astonishment. As for the rest of the demonic beasts, their expressions seemed a little strange. White fellow, are they your brothers and sisters? The lion asked quietly. That's right, they are. The lion's face instantly turned disgusted. I was wondering why I couldn't find your brothers and sisters. It turns out that the saber-toothed tiger had mistaken them for humans and captured them. This idiot can't even tell the difference between humans and apes. He actually dared to embarrass himself by inviting us over to watch. What a joke. Bailey Hongzhuang remained silent. She only felt that she shouldn't tell the lion the truth, that she was indeed a human in the future. Otherwise, when it recalled everything that had happened today, it would probably die of depression. Saber-toothed tiger, these are the humans you were talking about. One of the demonic beasts couldn't help but ask. The saber-toothed tiger nodded. That's right, they are humans. Haha, don't talk nonsense. They're not humans. They're apes, all right. As soon as this was said, the demonic beasts on the north side of the river all burst into laughter. This idiot actually thinks that humans and apes are the same. He can't even tell them apart when standing in front of him. What a joke. You're a bunch of idiots. Bailey Hongzhuang walked past the lion and walked to the front of the group. They're not humans. They're my brothers and sisters. Yang Qinxue and Yang Lingfeng had been looking for Bailey Hongzhuang ever since they were brought here. They didn't see her until now, dressed in a bright red dress. She looked even more enchanting and charming than usual. The bright colors made her look even more beautiful, like a raging fire, and she exuded a breathtaking beauty. However, when they realized what Bailey Hongzhuang was talking about, they were stunned. So, Hongzhuang was saying that they weren't human? The saber-toothed tiger and the rest of the demonic beasts didn't believe it at first, but when they saw Bailey Hongzhuang appear, their expressions became strange. What was going on with this fellow who looked exactly like a human? At this moment, the saber-toothed tiger finally knew what the person who had provoked it looked like. Human race? I'm not a human. I'm an ape. Bailey Hongzhuang emphasized her identity without skipping a beat. You're spouting nonsense. The apes don't look like you at all. How am I spouting nonsense? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her hand. Why don't you ask everyone behind me if I'm an ape? Chapter 69:34. The group of beasts responded to Bailey Hongzhuang without hesitation. What kind of joke was this? They had already confirmed the white guy's identity during this period of time. Faced with the beast's unanimous response, the beasts on the north side of the river were a little dumbfounded. Their brains couldn't wrap their heads around it for a moment. What was going on? They had clearly confirmed that these two guys were humans. That's impossible. The saber-toothed tiger didn't believe it at all. I heard them say that they were humans. You're lying, the fox hurriedly said. They had also suspected that the white guy was a human before, but after the long-armed demon ape's visit, everything was confirmed. We've never seen humans here before. Why don't you use your brains and think about it properly? Just because we haven't seen them doesn't mean that they won't appear. These two guys clearly told us that they were humans. Look at them. How are they similar to humans? The saber-toothed tiger hurriedly said, then turned its gaze to Bailey Hongzhuang. This guy is definitely a human too. You've been deceived. You're the one who's been deceived. The two sides suddenly began to argue. They were all certain that their opinions were correct. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly said, which one of them told you that they were humans? The saber-toothed tiger looked at Yang Lingfeng and said, when we first saw this guy, he said that he was a human. Thinking back to when they first met these two fellows, they were also a little uncertain. It was not until they asked that they understood the situation. Yang Lingfeng also understood why there was such a huge difference in their situation when they came to the same place as Hongzhuang. So this was the biggest problem. I suddenly feel that I'm so stupid, Yang Qinxue. You just realized Bailey Hongzhuang had already walked to Yang Lingfeng's side. Brother, your brain is really getting more and more muddled. Mother was just joking and lying to you that she was a human. You actually believed it. Your brother has always been stupid. He believes everything you say. There's no other way. Yang Qinxue sighed, and a helpless expression appeared on her face. Yang Lingfeng, sis, why are you looking at me like I'm an idiot? Bailey Hongzhuang turned to look at the fox and the other beasts. My brother broke his head when he was young. So Fox and the others immediately understood and looked at Yang Lingfeng with a trace of sympathy in their eyes. So that's how it is. Yang Lingfeng was dumbfounded. He would rather these fellows look at him as if he was a human. Previously, he was at most treated as an alien, but now he was being treated as a fool by a group of demonic beasts. What made him even more speechless was that his sister and Hongzhuang were still winking at him. They wanted him to be a real fool. Is that so? Why do I feel like we're humans? Yang Lingfeng's smile was sluggish, and his innocent look made him look like a complete fool in the eyes of the other beasts. So she really is an idiot. What a pity. She looks pretty good. I didn't expect that by Guy to have such a difficult life. His background is already quite pitiful, and he actually has a stupid brother. We have to treat By Guy better in the future. With such a stupid brother, it's no wonder that he had such a hard time in the past. The rock sighed. It could imagine how hard it had been for them all these years under the bullying of the long-armed demon ape.